Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Ooh, knocked in first. Luck Monkey, how y'all doing? Alyssa, happy Thursday. All right, welcome everyone. Straight Jack and Heleno, Omar, Spliff Gates, welcome back, everyone. Hey, Izzy. Little Bonnie, let's do this. Yeah, I'm excited. Let's go. Gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Gonna learn about some objects. Gonna do some fun stuff with APIs. I'm excited. All right. So the question for the start of this stream is, would you rather be a main character inside the Harry Potter universe or the Star Wars universe? So Harry Potter or Star Wars in the chat. Now, I had to say main character because you could have gotten screwed and been a muggle, or you could have been stuck on some planet in the middle of nowhere and just lived your normal, boring life. So we said main character. I think that's a huge difference maker when it comes to this question. What up, everyone? Welcome back. Hey, Erica. Hey, Ninja. Hey, Mine. All right. It's pretty overwhelmingly Star Wars. This is one of those shockers too. I thought Harry Potter might get some more love, but I guess lightsabers are too tempting. That's a good question too. Lightsaber or a wand? Whew. Or I guess the Force plus a lightsaber versus a wand? Because a wand isn't really that helpful unless you know all the spells behind it. And so same thing with a lightsaber, right? Wouldn't be that useful without the Force. So welcome everyone. Welcome. As always, going to give folks a few minutes to get in here. We'll switch over to questions in a second. But if you're new, we always start off with a question of the day. And so the question of today is, would you rather be a main character in Harry Potter or the Star Wars universe? Keikoff said, just give me a blaster and I'm in. Ooh, Kayla coming in with the heat. A wand. I could create my own lightsaber. I didn't think about that. That's an angle. Frankie said, which programming language do Star Wars ships use? I don't know, but maybe we can reverse engineer it. Alrighty, folks. Giving everybody a chance to get in here. We're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna be all about objects. Tonight is the bonus class for hitting a community goal a couple streams ago, where we're gonna have a little bit more fun, go over some topics that we haven't talked about yet, and then this will be the last class of this run of the bootcamp. Up next, we have 100 devs, which is gonna be our full stack 30-week course, and so super excited about that. And so let's go ahead and jump into some questions while folks kind of get here. And so I'm going to switch to Little Leon. I'm going to bring up the question slide and we'll take it from there. All right. Looking in chat for questions. If you have any questions about last class, about something else, feel free to throw it in there. I'll try to catch them. Hey, Karma, welcome back. Glad to be here with you as well. Luck Monkey said, does WebAssembly have anything to do with the assembly language? So WebAssembly is kind of like a way of using lower level languages to do stuff in the browser, basically. So it's some people are touting it as kind of the successor to JavaScript, where you can use these languages that traditionally haven't been used with the web on the web. So not necessarily directly assembly, but it's this idea of using a language that might not be as high level as JavaScript to do things that JavaScript does. So it's pretty exciting. I've been following it for a little while. It's not anywhere yet where I would use it as a full project, but there are some really big companies using it right now. I believe Figma, which is one of the most beautiful apps in the browser, I believe underneath the hood, they're using some sort of WebAssembly. And so that would probably be the biggest one I know. And they have a pretty good blog too. So if you're interested, I'd probably check out Figma's blog. Figma's a competitor to Photoshop or Sketch, or maybe both combined. And so it's completely free actually. So if you want to do some cool design work, you can use Figma in the browser for free. They do a lot of heavy lifting with it. Izzy said, any VPN recommendations? I recommend going to privacytools.io And privacytools.io will tell you kind of like all the reasons why you might need a VPN and why you might not. And then they kind of break down some of the top VPN providers. And so I think that would be the best place to start if you're trying to get some good VPN recommendations. And that's privacytools.io. Some brown boy said, so excited for 100 devs. Me too. I've been putting a lot of work into it behind the scenes, and so I'm excited for y'all to see it and to have some fun. Go back to the basics a little bit, you know? Is there anything I could help with before 100 devs starts? I'll reach out to you, Alyssa. Thank you for being awesome as always. Happy spooky season. Oh yeah, today is October 1st. Ooh, we're gonna do some sort of like Halloween stream. I was talking to some folks about kind of like community goals or like fun things to use channel points during Halloween. And I saw a fun one, which was like a mask. Like somebody can redeem the channel points for you to put on like a spooky mask for a few minutes. I thought that was funny. I might see what I can find. David said, I could not send my video through email, so I linked the Google Drive link. That's okay. Yeah, as long as I can get to the video, you're all good. Manny said, what Anki app, PC, Android do you recommend? Can you give me the URL, please? There seems to be so many of them. Whatever the main app is for Android is the one I use. Hold on. Let me look at my phone real quick. I can tell you. I use Anki Droid. So Anki Droid is the one I use on my Android. And then I use a Mac, so I have the default app for Mac. And for anybody that doesn't have access to those type of apps, the Anki Web is perfect. So feel free just to use Anki Web if you can't have access or your machine's slow or you have an iOS, like a iOS phone or iPad, because those apps you have to pay money for them. But for all the other ones, they're free. And if you don't have access to the free ones, use the web app. Cool. What do you think about full stack development courses? I'm about to start one in Argentina. They can be great. Depends on why you're doing one though. The thing that a lot of people kind of jump into a full stack development course hoping to get a job. Yeah, you're going to learn a lot of great skills, but there's so much more to getting the job other than just the skills. That interviewing process can be just as hard. And so whenever somebody's telling me they're doing a course or something in the hopes of getting a job, I just hope that they also spend a lot of time researching and figuring out how to go about the job search process as well. Diabolical said, what programming languages do you know, Leon? I started with QBasic. In high school, I did C++. In college, I did a little Ruby. My company was in Ruby on Rails. I mainly write JavaScript and Node these days. I've been dabbling with Python. Yeah, so a good smattering. My definitely like language of choice that I build my most stuff with is JavaScript by and far. K-Joe said, what site do you recommend to host your project? If it's static files, just like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, Netlify all day long. I love me some Netlify. Really easy to get your stuff up on there for free. You can literally just drag your folder and they host it for you. If you're talking kind of like bigger web applications, I use Heroku and DigitalOcean almost exclusively. AWS every once in a while. Ambitran, what are your favorite hand and wrist exercises? I need to make this an exclamation point in chat. I am a strict adherent to Dr. Levi, the fitness doctor. He has a great series of videos on hand and wrist exercises for gamers that I swear by. I do them every day, and they've done a lot of help for me. The test here, and I said this to a couple folks before. The test is if you can put your hand like out, and then you pull your hand down. If you feel like tightness across the top, you need to be doing some stretches. I would say every cohort of my students, there are 2 folks that go to the hospital because they're typing so much and it's so much repetitive stress on their hands and their wrists and their forearms that they literally have to go to the emergency room or go see a doctor. And so highly recommend getting some sort of exercise and stretching in for your hands and fingers. Super important. Ooh, Miriam with the posture check already. I'm not in my good chair today, so I'm going to need the posture checks. Hold on, get my feet where they should be. Lean back a little bit. All right, there we go. Thank you, Miriam, for the posture check. Oh, we need the community goal for the Bob story. I forgot about that. When we break for the first lab, I'll put the community goal up. Thanks, Nick. So we actually got follow botted. So we've grown like 3,000 followers. It's been like, that was natural, but somebody follow botted us one day, and that's why it got bumped so super high. I don't know how to fix that. I kind of really don't like it, but it doesn't affect anything. All right, looking for a few more questions and then we'll get started. Just giving folks a few seconds to get in here. I'm not breaking wrists. They're putting in so much work that that their hands are getting swollen and they have to do some things. So yeah, I also get really bad wrist pain in my right hand. And so that's why I use my fancy keyboard, my fancy mouse. If I don't, I get really sharp, like shooting pain all the way down my forearm. And so I think the posture checks are really important. The stretching is really important. The taking care of yourself. Like this is if you're here for a career, you got to keep the machine going, you know? So good stretching can be really helpful. Alyssa, thank you for posting the YouTube video. I appreciate that. All right, a few more questions and then we'll get it going here, folks. A lot of fun stuff tonight. We're gonna build a couple apps. There will be lots of dog photos. We're gonna build some cocktail recipes. We're going to get some photos from NASA. So really excited for today. Was there a question today? Miss Turner, there was. Would you rather be a main character in Harry Potter or a main character in the Star Wars universe? At what time are the entries for 100 devs closing tomorrow? So technically they're closing tomorrow at midnight, but I'm not sure what that would be. I think you're 6 hours ahead in the UK. I'm not sure. So whatever that is, midnight Eastern Standard Time US was when it would close. Yeah, we'll do office hours this Saturday. There will be office hours this Saturday, and then we're taking a break for the week. All right. Should we get into it, folks? Should we do this? Jimmy Kaba, thank you for the sub. I really appreciate that. Thank you a lot. For folks that are new, all of our subs, the Twitch Prime subs, the cheering, all that stuff is a donation to the nonprofit where I work during the day called Resilient Coders. I think we're at like 200 plus bucks that have been donated to them. So I appreciate y'all. As always, not expected, not required at all. I want this to be a completely free experience for everyone. But if you choose to sub or use your Twitch Prime to give me the Twitch Prime sub, all that money gets donated. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you. You also get access to the little micro Leon in chat now, Jimmy. And hey, Erica, I appreciate the cheers. And if you want the little micro Leon as well, you don't actually have to subscribe to get it. You can use the channel points to unlock the emote as well. All right, folks. I love it. I love the spam. There we go. Cool. Let's talk about what we're going to cover today, folks. All right, so I want to have a space for just folks if they have any last minute questions about 100 devs it always makes my heart so warm. I love that. Thank you so much for the wall of my face in chat. I love it. Makes my day. I'm just gonna look at it for a second. Cool. All right, so I want to have a space where folks can ask any last minute questions about 100 devs. After that, we're going to do a review as usual. Since we took a little bit of time off in between classes, I want to make sure that we feel comfortable with the basics. We're going to review last class's arrays, and then we're going to jump into something new called objects. Once we learn a little bit about objects and how we can build them, we're going to start making some basic API requests. So we're going to get some dog photos, some recipes, some photos from NASA, and learn the basics of how APIs work. And then there'll be a little homework to kind of keep reading about objects. Jimmy, you should have the emote now. You just subbed. Thank you. All right. Any questions about 100 devs? How long does it last? We're aiming for 30 weeks. 30 weeks to give you the full stack skills I think you would need to kind of start your job search process. So we'll be covering HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So in the beginning, you'll be able to build really beautiful websites that look great for yourself, for your clients, for your employer. Then we're going to move into full stack development with Node, Express, MongoDB, so that you can build full stack web applications that have not only a front end but a back end. Then we'll learn a little bit of Postgres to round you out for some other types of applications, and then we're going to throw React on top. So kind of a very modern tech stack to get you a job. And so you'll have all the skills that you need to kind of get that job. And then if you are selected for the 100 devs, there's a bunch of extra stuff that you get on top of that, which is kind of mainly interview prep. That interview process can be as intense or even more intense than the actual learning to code process. And so I want to make sure that I have space to work with a group of folks to help them get that little extra to get over the finish line. But by just streaming here live and hanging out and joining our Discord, you can get the bulk of 100 devs for sure. The app I use to lessen blue light is called Flux. So I use Flux. It's a app I have installed on my computer. Will we have access even if you're not in the 100 dev cohort? Absolutely. So I'm working on a lot of ways to support folks that aren't a part of the 100 dev cohort, meaning that you're always able to watch everything live here on Twitch. Everything will be backed up to YouTube. You'll have access to all the materials. You'll have access to Slack channels where folks can help you kind of work through the material together. So you're going to have a phenomenal experience, even if you're not part of 100 devs. There's just one of me. So I can't stretch myself too thin in terms of like doing resume prep, resume reviews, like all that extra stuff. So I'm picking a group of 100 just so that I can give them that special attention. But by following along, being on Discord, you'll get the bulk of the experience as well. So General Knox said, hey, Leon, will we know if we were accepted when the sign up ends? No, it's going to take me like probably 2 weeks to move through all of the applications. We had a lot of applications. I want to give them all a fair shake. And so it's going to take me a long time to get through them. Like my days are going to be just sitting in this chair reading and watching your videos. So give me some time. I'll get it out as soon as I possibly can. If I can't open it, you'll probably get a message from me. Yeah. Depends. Well, 100 devs go over Agile. I keep seeing it on job postings. We'll talk about it. It's kind of like just a methodology. So we'll definitely talk about it, but I'm not something like you'll work as an Agile team during the 100 devs. And so you'll learn it that way. Yeah. Is the bootcamp given by any company or is it just a personal project? Yep, it's my personal project. My background is I've been teaching computer science for the past kind of 8 years. So I'm distinguished faculty with General Assembly, and I also help run a free nonprofit coding bootcamp during the day called Resilient Coders. That bootcamp, we have an 85% graduation. 85% of our graduates go on to get full-time offers as software engineers with a starting salary of $98,000. So it is a personal project, but this is what I do. And so I'm hoping that we can spread the love around, help some folks that might need it, especially folks that were affected by the pandemic. And so I'm doing what I can to help folks, because normally my boot camps are super exclusive or a lot of money. And so this is kind of my personal project to make it free and open to everyone. Will the video today be posted on YouTube? Yes, all of the videos get posted to YouTube. Takes a little while for them to get up there, so you can always check the VODs here on Twitch first, but they all eventually get backed up to YouTube. How deep will you dive into React? You're going to be able to build full stack web applications that use React on the front end. So you'll have the skills you need to build apps using it. Is it pretty quick to build a backend in Express? Yeah, I mean, it's not too hard. There's a couple of different things you have to learn, and then you can kind of start building out whatever you want. My students this week at Resilient Coders are building Instagram. So they've been doing backend development for 2 weeks now. So about 2 weeks every day, and they're building Instagram with full posts, feeds, hashtags, you name it, comments. So in under 2 weeks, they were able to go from kind of not being able to build full stack apps to building a full Instagram clone on their own. So yeah, you can pick it up pretty quickly. SK2Q, some of them will be, but the bulk of that will be private, just because I don't want to, people have to opt into it. Like I wouldn't want to share somebody's personal resume and stuff like that with the world. My Texas Toast, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Mine with the hydrate. Cheers to you. Thank you. Today we have a lovely Lipton Diet Green Tea Citrus. Thank you, mine. Yeah, you heard Simba. Cat Calvin, we're not sure about RC going back into the classroom. It probably won't happen anytime soon. As soon as it's safe to do it, we probably will. Yeah. Cool. All right. Seems like we got through the questions for today. Let's go ahead and jump into today's review. And then from the review, we'll move on to learning about objects. Got a lot of fun kind of experiments and things that we're going to do when we get to objects. So looking forward to it. Boop Coconut said, will there be boot camps in the future? I hope so. Yeah, I think this one went really well. I had a great time kind of hanging out with y'all every Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday. And so we're going to keep it going. And I think after this big one, we'll do it again even better. Cool. All right. So let's start, folks. Let's get into it. If you do not have the slides for today and you would like them, you can do !slides in chat. That'll get you a link to the slides for today. As I move along through the slides, it's going to move your slides along. If you don't like that, you want to be able to jump back and forth at your leisure, you can just remove the /live from it, and that will give you the ability to control the slides. If you want all the starter material that we're going to be using today, there's a lot of it. If you want it all, you can go to our Discord channel, !Discord in the chat. Once you sign up on Discord, you agree to all of our rules. You'll get access to a follow along materials channel. You can go ahead and download the zip from there, and that'll have all the starter code that we'll be using throughout today. Cool. All right, let's jump into it. So we're gonna talk about programming first, then we're gonna move through the basics, and then we're gonna get to objects. So remember, I'm gonna kill the music here so we can get into it, so we get a little bit more focus. All right. Remember, computer will do what you tell it to do, all right? And so we're gonna extrapolate from that to cover two topics. First topic, what is a program? Well, a program is a set of instructions that you write to tell a computer what to do, right? Computer will do what you tell it to do. So the set of instructions that you write telling the computer what to do is what makes up a program. And then the act of programming would simply be writing those instructions in a language that a computer can understand. We write JavaScript. JavaScript can get broken down into something that the computer can understand. And so we're going to write JavaScript so that us as humans can understand what we're doing. And then that'll be broken down into something that the computer can understand. All right. JavaScript has its own syntax. When I say syntax, I mean the spelling and grammar rules of a programming language, the things that make up that language. Okay. So we're going to go through the basics and some of the syntax again today. We're going to go through this at a pretty fair clip. If you're new and you've never kind of spent some time with JavaScript, you might want to kind of watch the older videos so that you can get caught up to speed. This is class 14, so you might have kind of missed a few things along the way. That's okay. We're going to review them right now. We're just going to go a little fast, okay? I like the data buckets knocked. I love it. So what are variables? Variables are entities that we can use to store values for later on. We refer to them as buckets. You can put a value into the bucket and then use that bucket sometime later on. There are two steps when you are creating a variable: declaration, where you create that bucket, and assignment, where you put something into the bucket. You can do the declaration and the assignment at the same time, and that's what we see down here at the bottom. So we have declared a variable called age, and we have put inside of it the value 25. Anywhere else I use the value age now in my program, I'm really using the value 25. Cookie Code, you're just in time. Welcome back. All right. We learned a little bit about conditional syntax. Conditional syntax enables us to make decisions. What a conditional will do is it'll check a statement, and if the statement inside the parentheses is true, we do what is inside of the curly braces. If that condition is false, we move on to the else if. If the else if is false, we move on to the else. You can have as many else ifs as you would like. So you can go from if to else if to else if to else if. And you actually don't even need an else. An else is just a default. It won't check anything. It'll just automatically run if everything above it is false. Okay? We control the flow of the program. Absolutely. Control flow. All right. When we're doing these comparisons, there's something we always have to keep in mind. There's a danger afoot, and that is assignment versus comparison. Chat, what's the danger? What do I mean by assignment versus comparison? Oh, there we go. Yeah. When we're inside of that conditional, when we're inside of this if or else if, right, we have to be careful. If we were to use one equal sign as opposed to 2 or 3, what we're doing is reassigning, like we're reassigning a variable. Remember, 2 equal signs compare value, 3 equal signs compare value and type. 1 equal sign is something completely different. It's reassignment. So for those folks that are new to JavaScript, that might be something that you're not used to. 1 equal sign assignment, 2 just value, 3 value and type. All right. Like I said, we're moving at a fair pace through this review material. We'll slow down a little bit when we get to the arrays. We can have multiple conditions here. You can have a check for one thing and a check for another. And when you use the and operator, this double ampersand, both must be true. Okay, both must be true. So in this case, name is Leon, that is true. Status is Ballin, that is true. So you get a wink, all right? Because both of those statements were true. If only one of those statements was true, then nothing would have happened. Just a reminder, if you have 1 million micro Leons, you can unlock the OnlyFans. Let that be a nice preview for you. All right. Watch that be like something you're not allowed to put on Twitch and we get banned over it. That'd be hilarious. Oh, that'd be really funny. All right. Multiple conditions. I'm waiting for somebody in chat to be like, Leon, that's not true. I actually have used my channel points for multiple OnlyFans. It's totally okay. Move the class to OnlyFans. There you go. All right. So we can also have multiple conditions where we check for one thing or another thing, right? So in this case, if day is Saturday or day is Sunday. So in this case, only one has to be true. Either it's Saturday or it's Sunday. As long as one of those are true, we know it's the weekend. Okay. My Texas Toast, you get channel points for being here in the channel. There are some extra things that you can do that get you more points. Like when we do a raid at the end of the stream, if you participate, you get more. Cool. All right. Chat, what are functions? What are functions? I've been getting these points. Oh, yeah, I like that. Diabolical, cat kava, Izzy, K-coughs, cross, instructions. Yeah, it's a set of instructions. So whenever we think of a function, we're thinking of sets of instructions, simple sets of instructions. Functions are also reusable, meaning that you write out those instructions once and you can use them as many times as you want. If you're following best practices, your functions should probably only do one thing and one thing really well. And we typically refer to them as like the building blocks of our program. We separate all the actions that we want our program to do, and we can use them over and over again. Z3TR said, I saw 3 equal signs. Is that only a JavaScript thing? There are some other languages that use it. But what differentiates 2 from 3 equal signs is that with 2 equal signs, you're just looking at values, like the number 3 equal to number 3. With 3 equal signs, you're not only looking at the value, but also the type. Like, is it a number, a string, a Boolean? Yeah. So what would be the difference between a program and a function? Well, if you think of a program which is a set of instructions, then there's really not too big of a difference. A function is a reusable set of instructions that we can use inside of a program. That's kind of it. This is very, very kind of Very little differentiation there other than that the function is the vehicle that we use to write out our instructions. And a program is made up of those sets of instructions. Cool. Functions come in two kind of really important pieces that you have to remember. You have your function declaration. Thanks for the cheers, Cookie. Appreciate that. We have the function declaration, where you have the function keywords. You know it's a function. You have the name of the function. You have your parameters, which will be the things passed into the function. And then you have what your function does inside of those curly braces. Now, functions will just sit there. They really won't do anything, right? They really won't do anything until the function is called. Okay, so here is a function call, and this function call is what will run that function for us. Abneria, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. I really do. So we write out our functions. The functions won't do anything until we actually run them. And the way we run that function is by calling it. Yeah, there you go, Texas Toast, call me. Now, when you call a function, you can pass some stuff into it. So the way I like to remember it is you can call someone to argue, right? So when you call a function, you can pass in arguments. All right. So here's an example of that. Here we have a function declaration of yell. And then down here, I'm calling or running that function. And when I call it, I pass in the string of hello. Now that string of hello is going to fall into Word. And what I'm actually going to see is an alert or a pop-up that says hello. Thank you. I appreciate the sub. All right. Chat. What have I just circled? What's this, chat? Chat, what did I just circle? Oh, my Texas Toast says it's a string. It is a string. Yes, that is true. I was looking for an argument, which is also true. Yeah, this is the argument here. So I'm getting ready to call the function, all right? And I've passed in the argument of string hello. Cool. Chat, what is this? What did I just circle, chat? Nice. It's a function call. Well done. What is this? What did I just circle there? Chat. Code. I love it. It is the function. Well, it could be the function body. That's one thing we could think of. But I'm being literal here. Like the thing I just circled. Like not the white space. The thing I just circled. Yeah, that's another function call. You might say a method call because it's a function built into JavaScript, but that's another function call. That's us trying to run a function called alert. Interesting. Chat, what is this? What did I just circle there, chat? Ooh, straitjacket off the jump, followed by Okayla and K-Cost. Yes, it is our parameter. It is our parameter. How many arguments and how many parameters are we allowed to have for each function, chat? How many arguments and how many parameters could we have? A lot, yes. Unlimited? Yeah. We could have as many as we want. Nice. A buttload. That's awesome. Cool. Let's keep pushing. Chat, what are loops? We spent a lot of time on loops a couple classes ago. A gaggle about tray fitty. Iterations, repeating instructions, K-Cost, hit it. Yeah. I really like the idea of a way to repeat code. That's nice. Knocked. Repetition. It's a way of adding repetition. It's a way of repeating instructions over and over again. Well done. Yeah. So loops just help us repeat an action some number of times. There are three main types of loops in JavaScript: for, while, and do while. And each different type of loop really just kind of differentiates in how you start or stop the loop, or how you define when the loop starts or stops. Let's take a look at some. Here's a for loop. For loop is pretty straightforward in terms of what you see is what you get. What we're doing here is we're setting up a variable to keep count. We're saying run this loop while this counter is less than 5. And every single time this loop runs, we're going to add 1 to this counter. All right, so that's what we do here. So this loop will run 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once it gets to 4, it adds it to 5. But since 5 is not less than 5, it stops. All right. And each time it runs, it's printing out to the console I. So this loop will run and print 1 to the console, then 2 to the console, then 3 to the console, then 4 to the console. We're going to add 1 to it to be 5. 5 is not less than 5, so we stop. And all we will see is 4 printed to the console. We'll never get 5 printed to the console here. Now, if we did this, if we said less than or equal, then we would see 5 printed to the console. Okay. Another type of loop we have here is while. While is kind of the same idea, except our counter is declared outside of the loop. And then each time the loop runs, we console log it and we add 1 to it. So the first time this runs, 0 is less than 5. So we'll print 0 to the console and then we'll add 1. All right. Then we'll do 2, then we'll do 3, then we'll do 4, then we'll do adding 1 to 4. We're at 5. Since 5 is less than 5, since 5 is not less than 5, this stops and we're done. All right. Amvitran said, is choosing the type of loop you want to use a matter of preference, or is it dependent on the situation? It can be dependent on the situation. If you know when your loop is going to stop, you might choose one type of loop over another, right? So if I know that I have a hard stop, I might use a for loop. If I don't know when my end condition will be met, I'll probably choose a while loop, because this could be anything. This doesn't have to be a count. This could be a true or false statement. And so I just feel a little bit more comfortable using while loops when I don't know my end condition. And I feel a little bit more comfortable using for loops when I do know my end condition. Yeah. Aren't methods such as prototype map and reduce looping as well? Yeah, there are a bunch of helper methods tied to arrays that can do loops. But if we're talking about loops built into just the kind of base language, yeah, we have while, do while, and for. Cool. Yep, diabolical, you hit it out the park. A do while loop just lets you run it once before you make a check. So you know that it'll always run at least once, which is great for certain situations. I only started lesson 8. My brain's a little spooked. That's all right. We're doing some review. It'd be cool to absorb stuff this evening, right? You'll absorb some good stuff, and then you come back to the videos and keep watching. All right. So we're going to go to our first practice of the evening. So if you don't have the materials to move into the practice, go ahead to our Discord, exclamation point Discord in chat. Go to the follow along materials and download those materials if you need them. We're going to open up Review in Paradise. So I already have all my code open here. Here's Review in Paradise. You're going to want to go to the JavaScript file, right? In this JavaScript file, there are 2 variable questions, 2 function questions, a conditional, and a loop question. Go ahead. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock here. Go ahead and attempt this Review in Paradise. Give you 5 minutes. I'll bring back the music. If you have questions, go ahead and ask questions. To get to the example files, you need to join our Discord community. So exclamation Discord in chat. Once you agree to the rules, you'll unlock all the channels. There's a follow along materials channel that has the zip file for today. And so you download that zip file, unzip it, and you'll have all the materials that you see that I have here. Vignesh says, this does not feel like paradise. It is. What else would you rather be doing on a Thursday evening than learning some JavaScript? Amnura, yeah, we did a little bit of DOM manipulation back in the day. So if you go back to kind of like our first couple JavaScript classes that are on YouTube, you'll see kind of our kind of DOM manipulation. Am I going to absorb any of this through osmosis? I'm a newbie. You'll be, what I highly recommend is that if you're following along, follow along, but then ask yourself, what did you just learn? All right. It's called active recall. Active recall is one of the best methods you have to learn something. And so when you see us do something here on screen, ask yourself, what did Leon just do? Or what did we just do? Right? That actively recall will be really important for your learning. And then always take a swing at these practice problems. If you're really, really, really new and you haven't touched any of this before, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be overwhelming. And so, yeah, you might get a little bit out of just following along, but you're probably going to get more going back to the previous videos. So feel free to hang around, or feel free to go back and look through the other ones. We do like to do a lot of review. So always feel free to hang around and kind of soak up the review that we do at the beginning. It's your wedding anniversary, blah, blah, blah. Well, congratulations. That's awesome. But you're here. Hey, I love it. Respect. Happy anniversary. Happiness, it's already Friday for you? Oh, I didn't think about that. That's awesome. Use your laptop as a pillow. Hardcore. So we got a little over 2 minutes left. Give it your all. Ah, that West Coast life, blah. If you have questions, feel free to ask questions. If you get through them, there's a lot here. I don't know if we're going to get through them in 5 minutes, but if you get to the end, throw done in the end. Done in chat for me. There's a lot for us to get done here, though. So I think 5 minutes is a little too short. 112 Kluelskio 1. Wow. Green, you didn't miss too much. We're just doing the review. We did our variables, our functions, our conditionals, and our loops review, just to kind of shake off the cobwebs. And we're going over the first practice problems review in Paradise. So perfect time to jump on in. What even is a cube root? You know what like a square root is, where you like twice of itself? Cube root is 3 times of itself. Listen, middle school math and I do not get along. Yeah. So the cool thing is that it's a method built into JavaScript. So if you just look up the list of methods, you'll be able to find it. All right, 1 minute left, folks. Go strong, go hard. You got this. Get as far as you can. Bugaboo, they start at 0. Just kind of like a raise, right? Alrighty. 30 seconds left on the clock. Dig deep. I know there's a lot here, so we'll go over it together. Welcome everyone. If you're new, pull up a chair, grab the slides, grab the starter code, exclamation point slides, exclamation point Discord will get you both. Give us a follow if you haven't followed yet. That way more folks see us in the chat and see us inside the science and technology section. All right, folks, come on back and let's take a look at these together. Come on back. Let's work through them together. Gonna kill the music here. And always, as always, all the code will be shared at the end of stream. So if you go back to the follow along materials channel, everything we code out together, we'll go ahead and share it on there so you have all the solutions. So no need to frantically kind of code along here. Just pay attention and then grab the code if you need to after stream. Declare a variable, reassign it to your favorite food, alert the value. All right, so I'm going to create a variable. Let food equal, I don't know, what do I have here? Bread sticks. There we go. I had breadsticks today. All right. Reassign it to your favorite food. Food equals pho. It's my favorite food. And then alert the value. Alert food. There we go. Everybody said Domino's pizza. Yes. I should have done, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. There we go. Perfect. Alrighty. Declare a variable. Alyssa got pizza in honor of class. Nice. How do I unmod? How do I do this? Where's that button at? I'm joking. I would never do that. Please forgive me. All right. Declare a variable. Assign it a string. Just rude in all caps. No. Declare a variable, assign it a string, alert the second character in the string. All right, let's go and declare a variable. Let s equal Bob, and then alert the second character in the string. So let's do an alert, and then we'll do s dot. Anybody know what the method was to get the second character in the string? Ooh, yes, knocked it out the park as usual. Char at, and then 1, because char at is 0 index. So you're going to want the 1 there to get the second element out of that string. Cool. Create a function that takes in 3 numbers, divide the first 2 numbers, and multiply the last. Alert the product, call the function. All right, let's create a function. Function. We're going to call it div2 multi, because we're going to divide by 2 and then multiply. Cool. It's going to take in 3 numbers. So we're going to do n1, n2, and n3. Nice. Ooh, people use substring. That could work too. That's nice. n3. And then we're going to divide the first 2 numbers, multiply the last, and we're going to alert it. So let's just do the alert. And we're going to do n1 divided by n2, and then we're going to multiply the third. There we go. Cool. Like I said, this is review. We're going to go a little bit fast through this one because we don't want to have some time to get to the objects at the end. Create a function that takes in 1 number. Console log the cube root of the number. Call the function. All right, let's take a function. We'll call it croot. And it's going to take in 1 number. So we'll say n1. And then, oh, we never called the first function. Div2 multi, and we'll pass in 2, 3, 4. There you go. All right. Console log the cube root of the number. What did y'all use to get the cube root? Did anybody find it? Yeah, diabolical got it. So we will console log. So we'll do log, and we'll console log math.cbrt, and then we'll pass in the number 1. Cool. Now, the interesting thing is we're using a lot of these methods. CBRT, cube root, char at. We're using objects like math. We're throwing these around because later tonight we're going to see where they come from and why we're able to do the things we're able to do with them. So these methods are out in force today because we're going to see where they come from and how to use them later on. So I wanted you to see that, hey, we've been using these things for a long time. Now we're going to understand like the logic behind them. Everything is indeed an object, diabolical. Nice. All right, we got to call the function. So we'll do croot, and let's pass in like 9. There we go. Or 64 is a good cube root, right? 4 times 4 times 4, 64. Yep, there we go. Croot 64. Nice. All right, create a function that takes in a month. If it is a summer month, alert yay. If it's another month, alert boo. So function summer month, and we're going to pass in a month. It's going to use the character M short for month. And then it's going to have a conditional. Cool. What are the summer months? What did y'all put for this? I don't know what the summer months. What are the summer months? What are the summer months? June, July, August. All right, let's go with that. So does M equal June or does M equal July? Or, because remember, we can do multiple of these. Does M equal August? Cool. So if it is, we should alert yay, oh, all caps. Else, we should alert boo. All right. Now, there are some things that we could do here that would make our lives a little bit easier. If we wanted to make sure that everything was capitalized correctly, we might do the 2 lowercase or 2 uppercase trick. I see some folks mentioned that in chat. Sansacone mentioned that in chat. But this is a pretty straightforward one here. Let's go ahead and let's do that just so y'all could see it. M equals M.2 lowercase. And then we'll change these to be all lowercase. Cool. There we go. So no matter what we pass in, it'll turn it all to lowercase. And then it's going to check to see if it's June, July, or August. If it is, it alerts yay. Otherwise, it alerts boo. All right. Let's go ahead and do this loop at the end. Create a function that takes in a number, console log every number from 1 to that number while skipping multiples of 5. All right, so let's create a function. We're going to call it skip 5. Skip 5. And we know that this skip 5 takes in a number, so we'll say a parameter of n1. And then we can just go ahead and create a for loop for this if we wanted to. Just keep it simple. Let I equal 1. While I is... let's see, console log every number from 1 to that number. So we'll include that number, n1, and then we're going to do I++. What's going to happen here is that we'll start at the number 1. We'll loop until we reach the number. And every single time we loop, we add 1 to our counter. And all we're going to do is we're going to put a little conditional in here. How can I determine if the number is a multiple of 5, chat? How can I determine if a number is a multiple of 5? Ooh, yeah, with that modulus. Nice. Nice, Muhammad. Nice, diabolical. Yes, Omar. K-Koffs, K-Doge. Yep, nice. I've never said, hey, M2 lowercase would mean that even if we entered in August with weird capitalization or August with all capitalization, it would still register? Exactly, yeah. So that M2 lowercase just makes it so that whatever the user enters in, as long as the word matches, it's going to work, no matter what the capitalization they use. All right, let's use that modulus here for this loop. Nice. All right, so we'll do an if here. And we're going to say if I, and then remember, % is reused here for modulus. So we'll say I mod 5 equals 0. So if we can divide 5 into I, we know that we have a multiple of 5, and that would give us 0, right? So 10 mod 5 would give us 0. 5 mod 5 would give us 0. And so we would know that this is a multiple of 5, right? So we can do nothing, right? Or we can say doesn't equal 0. So what this means is that if it's not a multiple of 5, we can print it to the console. So the only time that this wouldn't print to the console is if it is a multiple of 5. Cool. Every other number will be logged just like normal. So that's a little trick here, right? We could have just left like a blank conditional if we wanted to, but we can use the not equal to 0. So if the number, whatever the number is, 7, 8, 9, all of those will be printed to the console, right? But once we got to 10, 10 mod 5 is equal to 0. So this becomes false and we don't actually print it. Cool. Alrighty. Well done, everyone. Good stuff. Let's keep on pushing. Can you put skips and continues? Yes, there are things like skips and continues that you can kind of put into your loops along with breaks and other fun stuff. All right, chat. What are arrays? What are arrays? We're kind of moving through all of our review here. What are arrays, chat? Bucket of a bucket. Yeah, it's a data structure to hold values. I love it. Sequence of data. Nice. Toasters. Bill Gates toaster. A place for grouped elements. Yeah, cool. Kind of all right. A list. Yeah, I like that. Can think about it like that. Definitely not 50 cents toaster. Get out of here with that cheap toaster-ish. All right, so arrays, I like to think of toasters. Toasters meaning that, think of Bill Gates toaster. You fill it with bagels and bread and toaster strudel. And every time you run out of space, it gives you one more slot on that toaster. And it can grow to be any size you want. It can hold any type that you want. And so I like to think of arrays as Bill Gates toasters. But of course, arrays really are just a data structure for ordered collections, meaning that you can put anything you want into an array that we've learned about. Numbers, booleans, strings, objects, other arrays can all go into an array, and it's just a collection. Right? This stream makes me so hungry. You got it. I agree with Alyssa. You got to come ready with the snacks. Food is an important part of this stream. All right. The quirks of arrays that you have to remember is that they start counting with 0. The index starts counting at 0. And arrays come with a lot of really handy dandy methods that do a lot of heavy lifting for us. We kind of talked about a few of them earlier. Somebody mentioned for each and map. There are these other methods like push, pop, shift, unshift that make it really easy to kind of work with arrays as well. And there are 2 ways to create them, with a constructor function or using something called literal notation. Cool. 2 ways to create an array. A constructor, which we'll actually learn about today, how to build our own constructors, right? And literal notation, meaning we just write square brackets. And when you write square brackets, that gives you a new array. Okay. All right. So here is an array that I've declared called new array. That array has a string of zebra, a boolean of true, and a number of 21. And so it's just kind of showing you here that when you create an array, you can put anything that you want into it, really. Anything that we've learned about so far, boop, can go into your array. Remember, arrays, we start counting the index at 0, right? So New York City, even though it's the first element in the array, we would say that it's at the 0th index. Meaning that if you wanted New York City out of this array, you would have to use the index of 0. I missed a hydrate? Oh, I did. Mohammed, thank you for the hydrate. Cheers. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to take a sip here, folks. It was a big one. Y'all haven't been giving me the hydrates tonight. I got to take bigger sips now. All right. Let's keep pushing. Remember, 0 indexed. So here's kind of us using those indexes to get out of the arrays, right? Here we go. New array index 0 would give us zebra. New array index 1 using these square brackets would actually give us an empty space, which would be undefined, right? Using the index of 2, we would get the 3rd element in the array, which is a boolean of true. And then using the index of 3, we would get the last element out of the array, which is a number of 21. Cool. Some interesting things is that you can not only access stuff out of the array with the index, you can put stuff into the array with the index. And we're going to see that in some of the labs here, right? So right now, index 1 is an undefined empty space. I can go ahead and do new array 1. set it equal to string Bob, and then you can see down here in the console log that empty space has now been updated to string Bob. A space doesn't have to be empty for you to change it. You can change it whenever you would like. Cool. All right. Remember that you can overwrite whole arrays. So you can have one array that's holding these lovely cars. You can have a whole array that's holding all these numbers. And if I assign the cars array to the numbers array, well, guess what? You've just overwritten your whole array. So keep that in mind. Yes, you can overwrite whole arrays by assigning an array to a different array. Something to keep in mind. Dot length will give you total number of elements in your array. Remember, the length will always be more than the last index, so keep that in mind. And let's go ahead and move on to our second practice of the evening, in paradise after paradise. All right, so what I would like for you to do is go ahead and open up review in paradise after paradise. Going to open up that index.html and that main.js. There's only one thing for you to do here that's going to combine all these things together. And it says to create a function that takes in an array. If the first number is less than the last number, alert high. If the first number is greater than the last number, alert by. And if they are equal, alert we close in an hour. So you're going to have to know how to grab the first and last elements to do this. I'm going to go ahead and put 3 minutes on the clock for this one. 3 minutes on the clock, and we'll come back to it. If you need the materials for today, you can go ahead and do !Discord in chat. They'll give you access to our Discord channel. Agree to all the rules, and it'll unlock all the channels. One of those channels will be a follow along materials channel where you can get all the zip and all the starter code that we're using today. So 3 minutes on the clock. Go ahead. I think y'all can do this one. Crush it. I'm just here so I can learn how to order Domino's via the API. We're working up to it. We'll get there. One of these days today we'll get there actually. All right. I'm going to put a little bit of music on while we're working. If you have questions, go ahead and ask questions. But give this the old 100 devs try. If you have questions, feel free to ask them here in chat. If you're new, !slides get you the slides that we're following along with. If you don't like it auto advancing, you can remove the /live and then you have full control over the slides. Really good for kind of like going back and looking at the things that we just covered. If you need the materials, !Discord will give you access to the materials. Join our Discord community, agree to the rules, and then a follow along materials channel will open up for you. Alrighty, folks. Done. Okayla done. That was a new record. It was what, 1 minute in? Well done. Well done. If you finish, go ahead and put done in the chat so I can see that you finished up. Oh, Erica done too. Nice. Well done, folks. Well done. About 1 minute 30 left. We're halfway through. K-Doge with the done. Karma with the done. Imran with the done. Straight jacket. Done. Fun. Luck Monkey Dunzo. Nice. Straight jacket. Sands is done as well. Izzy is done. Awesome. Diabolical. Manny is done. Bilal got it. On their anniversary. Knocked it out the park. That's awesome. All right, we're going to go over this one together, folks, and then we're going to take a break because I need you to do what you need to do to hydrate, move around, stretch, get the legs a moving. Ooh, Erica with the posture check. Thank you. Hold on. I'm in a different chair tonight, so the posture checks are welcome. Feet are on the ground. Nice. Let me actually sit up a little bit more. Fingers on the keyboard, right? All right, there we go. Thank you. Boy is done. Wolfpack of one is done. Nice. Hey, is there a setting or package for Atom to wrap the text so it fits on the screen? Yes, Bugaboo. If you do, if you click on your Atom and you go to View, there should be a option called Toggle Soft Wrap. That's what I have on right now. That makes it wrap. All right, folks. Well done. Come on back. Come on back. Thanks for putting in the work. Let's go ahead and go over this together, and then we will take a break. All right. Kato asking a good question. So do we need to be able to check if the array element are numbers? I think if you're doing this in an interview, that's a really great thing to check for. For these, I'm not trying to trick y'all. It's all right. If you did it, kudos. But yeah, we don't have to check. We're just going to assume that it's pulling in a number. All right, create a function. So let's go ahead and do that. That takes in an array. If the first is a number, if the first number is less than the last number, alert high. If the first number is greater than the last number, alert by. If they're equal, alert close in an hour. All right, so let's create our function. Function called open or close. Cool. We know we're going to take in an array, and then we're going to do a conditional check here. We're going to say, hey, if array, and we're going to say, well, we want the array from the first index. So we'll do, oops, sorry, I keep hitting, there we go. Array 0. So that will give us the first number. And we want to see if it is less than the last number. How can we get the last number? How did you get the last number? Maybe we don't know the actual number of elements in the array. How did you get the last number? Aha, there we go. Nice. Array.length -1. So that will always give us the last number in the array, because that length will give us the total number of elements in the array. And so we subtract 1 because our index starts counting at 0. Since our index starts counting at 0, we just can't take the length. We always have to subtract 1 because the index of the last element will always be the length -1. Cool. Alyssa, I'm starting to think you're a bot developed by Leon. I wish I could write code that well. Alyssa's amazing. All right. Let's go ahead. And so if it's less than, we're going to say alert high. Cool. High. Else if, right? And then we're going to just kind of switch this. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. All right. So we're just going to copy it. Going to come down here. If you're kind of like following along, I don't really ever recommend copying and pasting, but we're a little overdue for the break, so I want to get to it. All right, so if the first element is greater than the last element, we're going to alert by. Cool. And then if it's not greater than or less than, we can have our else, and that will alert we close in an hour. Cool. Alrighty, folks. Well done. We got through that one pretty good. We got through some of this review pretty well. What I would like to do is I would like to go ahead and put in 5 minutes on our timer for a break. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this over. As always, please take that 5 minutes to get up. Please, for all that is holy, get up, take care of yourself, stretch, grab some water, hydrate. Do what you got to do, and then come back here in 5 minutes, please. We're going to move on. We're going to cover just one more thing in arrays, and then we're going to learn about some objects. Oh, yeah, Bob goal. All right, let me go ahead and put Bob goal. I'll work on the Bob goal while everybody takes a break. All right, everybody, have some fun. Enjoy your break. See you in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Stretch, hydrate. Kat Kava, thank you for the posture check. Let's go ahead and do that. MJ Untitled, thank you for the sub. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It means a lot. And Manny with the hydrate. Woo. We're backing them back. We're doing back to back. Posture check, drink, posture check, hydrate, and a sub. Watch out. Look at me go. Thank you, everyone. All right, I'm gonna put this sub goal up here. Gotta go to channel points, rewards and challenges. All right. All right, I'm gonna add a new challenge here. What should the goal amount for Bob be? I'm not even sure. What should we make it? Let's do 25,000. We've hit 20. We've done 30 before. Maybe 30. Nah. Let's do 25K. 25,000 points for the history of Bob. I don't think anybody wants to do that, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if people do it. If you're still here, get up, go stretch, go drink water, go hydrate, move your hands, stretch. All right, setting up this community goal for everyone during the break. I'm gonna launch it in just a few seconds. Background color. I always like the green background colors on these. Cool. All right, so I created it. Let me go ahead and launch it. All right, we have a new community goal for the history of Bob, as promised. Alrighty. If you have questions, go ahead and throw the questions. We are taking our break as usual after the 1 hour mark. I know it's a lot of hard work, stressing your brain after a long day. So I appreciate you putting in the work, and I appreciate you all being here. I'm hoping you're enjoying this break. Ooh, people throwing some weight around with this history of Bob. Are you able to remove the max redemption per stream limit? What is it right now? Do you know what it is, Alyssa? Is there something set right now? It's 2K. Let's see. Smart controls. I wonder if it's a community thing or a... I don't see it there. I did read something that they just like changed it or something where you can control it. Let me see what's a new one. Yeah, Alyssa, I don't see anything where I have control over it, unfortunately. I might have to dig a little bit deeper for that to figure out what that is. Yeah, I don't see it, sorry. Next time. All right, 3 seconds left, folks. All right. Come on back, folks. Come on back from the break. Come on back. Hope you had some water. Hope you stretched. What do we got here? Ooh, there's a big old list here. Cyborg Ninja with the hydrate. Cheers to you, my friend. I appreciate the hydrate. Omar, we'll do office hours on Saturday. Yes. So office hours on Saturday, 12 p.m. right back here on Twitch. Whew, so many people contributing to the history of Bob goal. We're at 16K out of 25K already. This is for the history of Bob. And so I'm excited to tell that story should we hit that goal. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Let's tune down the music here and let's get back into it. All right. Now that everyone's back, you will have noticed that the names of the starter code have all had a theme. For automatic acceptance into 100 devs, what is the names coming from? Where are the names of these challenges? Ooh, MJ entitled got it off the rip. These titles have all come from The Bachelor. So if you were paying attention, you just would have got into 100 devs guaranteed. MJ entitled, please DM me here on Twitch and I'll make sure you get into the 100 devs. So you got to come back on time, folks. It pays to come back on time. It pays to pay attention to the names. I've done this twice now. 97 devs. Congrats, MJ Untitled. Just please send me a DM here so I can remember. Alrighty, let's keep pushing, folks. Last class we also learned about array iteration. Before we jump, there is a community goal for the history of Bob. It's 25K microleons for the history of Bob. We're at 20K already, so I think we'll probably hit this. So just know that it's out there. Wolfgang, Wolf. Cheers. Thank you for the hydrate. Thank you. All right. Array iteration. So we learned about this last class. Array iteration just means that we can move through the array. So you could use a for loop, right? So you can use a for loop, and a for loop here is just going to move through the array using indexes, right? So I keeps going up by 1, and we keep accessing the best colors based on the index. And we don't go over the items that are in our array because we're using the length of the array to move through it. That's one way to do iteration. Built into arrays are methods that could also help with our iteration. And so there's this lovely for each with an arrow function inside of it. And what it does is it'll run once for each element in the array, popping off that element and its index. And so it would pop off green and 0, blue and 1, yellow and 2, black and 3. So you can always use loops to move through arrays, but there are also these built-in functions, which we'll learn about later today when we get to objects, that enable us to do this iteration. Okay. So we have another starter code to jump right into. We're back at it. So let me go ahead and open up that question for y'all. Summer games here. We're going to go to summer games. All right. The question is, create a function that takes in an array of numbers, multiply each number together, and alert the product. So you're going to have an array of numbers. You're going to add all the you're going to multiply all the numbers to each other, and then you're going to alert the result of that multiplication. I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock here. This one should be pretty much doable. Go ahead and take your 3 minutes to go ahead and get this goal done. If you're new and you need the code, you can join our Discord community by doing !Discord. That will go ahead and give you access to all of our channels once you agree to the rules. One of those channels is the follow along materials channel where you can get all the starter code that we're going to be using today. If you want the slides, it's !Slides in the chat as well. Thank you, Alyssa, for putting those in there. All right. Its element said, can you explain the difference between a for each and a map? I'm going to put a little bit of music behind me here. For each just moves through an array, popping off the elements. Map actually returns a new array. So one just moves through an array, the other returns a new array. That's the only difference. It's element. Well, there's slightly some other smaller things, but that's the big thing. Yeah, we're going to learn about dot notation a little bit later today. And in JavaScript, everything's objects. I think of that meme where the guy's looking at the earth with the other guy behind him with the gun. It's so you mean to tell me it's all objects? Always has been. Oh, I should have put that in the slides. That's definitely going in the next slides. Minute 37, folks. Ski. Are there actually primitives in JavaScript, or is everything still objects? Interesting question. Ooh, we already got people done. Oh, Kayla, you're on fire today. I think that's 2 first dones. Noct is done. 6ix9ine is the best rapper. No, please not. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. It's Dylon. It's always been Dylon. Coordinate, I think you got it. That's awesome. Diabolical's done. All right. Are we going to get a custom wallpaper for the class? What do you mean, Nimcode? Custom wallpaper? Got some other folks coming in done. Eric is done. 30 seconds left to go. I'm down for it, Nimcode. I think a custom wallpaper would be cool. Sure. Straight jacket's done. Nice. Carmen with the dunner. David with the done. Nice. Got 10 seconds left, folks. 10 old seconds. Just made it, Manny. Nice. Well done. Excuse me. Mine with the buzzer beater. Love it. And a Domino's gift card, Alyssa. All right. Come on back, folks. Come on back. All right, let's go over this together. Create a function that takes in an array of numbers. Multiply each number together and alert the product. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's create a function first. Function. And we're going to call it like multi, just because it's going to multiply all the numbers together. And we know it takes in an array. So I'm just going to call it R here for the array. And then I'm going to multiply each number together and alert the product. So I'm going to create a variable called product. I'm going to start it off at 1. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through my array. There are many ways you could do this, a loop. I'm just using for loop just because I think it's a little easier to read for folks that are newer. So I'm going to say let I equal, and we'll just start off. We can just start off with 1. And we'll do I as long as it is less than array.length. And we are going to go ahead and do I++. And what we're going to do is we're going to go, oh, sorry, no, we're going to do 0 here. My bad. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take product. And we are going to times it by whatever is currently in the array. And so there's a shortcut to do times equals, which would work here. And we could just do array and then I. So what's going to happen here is that we are going to loop through. And every single time I loop through, we're going to pull the next number out of the array and times it by whatever the product currently is. All right. So that's the meat and potatoes there, right? We have a nice for loop. We're gonna loop through our array, and we're gonna pull off the 0th index and the 1st index, right? And so let's run through it. Let's run through it and see what would happen here. So let's go ahead and call. Let's call multi-array. So let's call multi, and we can call it with an array that's, let's do 1, 2, and 3. So let's go ahead and what do we want to do? We want to alert the product. So let's go ahead and alert product. All right, so let's go ahead and open this up. And there we go. We see that we're alerting 6, so we know that it worked. 1 times 2 times 3 is 6, so it worked. And there is the Bachelor Summer Games for everyone that was interested. All right. So if we're looking at it, I see some questions here. I started my product. I didn't set it as 0 because I didn't want to multiply by 0 and get everything to 0, right? So I started at 1. And then our index always should start at 0, right? Because we want to grab the first element out of the array, and the first element is always 0. Cool. All right, let's move on, folks. That was a good one. Slam dunk. There are some other arrays that we learned that were on methods. I'm going to move through this really quickly because we've done these before. The methods that we learned from the arrays, shift. Shift will remove an item from the beginning of the array. Pop will move an element off from the end of the array. Unshift will add an item at the beginning of the array. And of course, push will add an element to the end of an array. So you have, let's go back through it real quick. You have shift, shift, pop, unshift, and shift. It's push as these methods. Oh, geez Louise. These methods that help you either add or remove elements to the end of an array. Oh, we're at 23K for the history of Bob. 2K more, and it's done. We have story time. Sorry, saving for OnlyFans. Of course, Bugaboo. I get it. All right. So that was quick. Oh, boy. We hit the community challenge. Nice. All right. So before we go into the Winter Games solution code, I'll tell you about the story of Bob. It's a long, historic. It's actually not that long, but. For those that have not met Bob, here is Bob. Can't get him on screen. There you go. Bob is one of my oldest friends. He's been with me for a very long time. He has been with me through multiple moves, multiple jobs. This is Bob. He looks over the apartment when I'm gone. He's a dear, dear friend. So he's always in my office. I've had him in my office for 12 years now. Yeah. So no, 10 years now. Yeah. So this is Bob. When I first started my company, I started before I started teaching, I ran a startup. Dropped out of Yale, started a company, raised a bunch of venture funding, and moved into an office space. The office space was pretty shitty, and then we moved to a slightly better one that was shared office space. One half of the office space was a co-working space for other startups, but like before co-working spaces were a thing, right? And then the other half of the space was another company, and it was like a whole company, like 60, 70 people was the other side. And one day we came into work. And all the co-working type folks were there, but this whole other company was just like gone. And so we were like, well, that's really weird. Where's the whole company? Maybe they like the day off. Maybe they're doing a retreat or something. And then the huge trucks started pulling up. And these huge trucks started pulling up because they were repoing all of that other company stuff. They were coming in to take their desks. They were coming in to take everything. And so we're sitting there like Pikachu face as like these trucks roll in to grab everything. In the kitchen was Bob. Now, where Bob comes from, we don't really know. I just know that Bob was in the kitchen and there were repo vans, and I wasn't letting anybody take Bob. So Bob, I quickly grabbed him and I put him at my desk. Right? Bob was in the kitchen, shared kitchen, communal kitchen, and I put him at my desk. There's literally a photo of me sitting at my chair, and next to me is Bob sitting in his own chair at his own desk. We put a computer in front of him so that maybe they wouldn't, see him. They think he's just a normal human sitting at his computer. Now, I put Bob there. I was like, if they come and they take Bob, they take Bob. Maybe Bob's on their list and they need Bob. So I put Bob there, took him from the communal kitchen, put him in the communal space, and I just put him there. And I put him there, and they never took him. Nobody grabbed him. Nobody asked for him. And he sat there for probably about a year. Just every day, come in. Bob got there every day before me, and he stayed late every night. Best employee I've ever had. Right? Came in every day. He's already working at his computer for a whole year. At the end of the year, somebody bought the building where the co-working space was. So all this stuff had to go. Anything that was going to be left in the building was going to get thrown out. So I was like, well, if I leave Bob, he gets thrown out. And he's been a dedicated employee for over a year, put in a lot of hard work. So Bob came home with me. And so Bob has been one of my best friends for about 10 years now. I'm very excited for you all to meet Bob. Bob, hello. So that's the story of Bob. Is he just the head or is there? He has a torso. Hold on. So he has no arms. All right. Just a torso. So whenever we go on vacation, we leave Bob in a chair, either looking outside the window or we leave Bob in a chair looking at the door. I would love somebody to like try and break in and just see like Bob standing there in the darkness. Yeah. So that's the story of Bob. I'm glad to have shared this story with you. I hope it was worth your micro Leons. But yeah, so Bob's a dear friend, been with me for a very long time. You're gonna see him a lot when it comes to 100 devs. Bob's been putting in a lot of hard work as usual. There we go. Cool. This is the creepiest shit I've ever seen. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. I'm not gonna lie. Bob knows this about himself though, so we're all good. Now, see, most developers have a duck, and they talk to that duck for their help. But those developers, they're messing up because I got a Bob, and I talk to Bob when I need to talk through my code. All right. Let's keep going, folks. Alrighty. Do we do winter code? We did not do winter games yet. Let's go ahead and move to winter games. I'm gonna open up the winter games code. Ooh, a Bob emote. That's great. That's gonna be the tier 2 or tier 3. I think tier 3 will be the picture of Bob. That's gonna be Bob. Yep. Tier 3 will be Bob. I don't know what tier 2 will be yet, but tier 3 will definitely be Bob. All right, let's go ahead and open up winter games. All right, create a function that takes in an array of numbers. Return a new array containing every even number from the original array. Do not use map if you know what it is. Oh, tier 2 being Simba would be great. Boom. All right, I'm going to work on that this weekend. Tier 3 will be Bob. Tier 2 will be Simba. We'll call it a day. All right, create a function that takes in an array of numbers. Return a new array containing every even number from the original array. So if it's not an even number, it should not be in this new array. Okay. All right, do not use map. I'm going to go ahead and put 3 minutes on the clock. This is a tricky one. I completely understand this is a tricky one. So don't worry if you don't think of a solution right away. We're going to put 3 minutes on the clock. We're going to go ahead and put a little bit of music on for y'all. If you're new and you need the materials, !Discord in the chat. That'll get you access to our Discord community, agree to the rules, and you'll get access to the Follow Along Materials channel where you get all this starter code. GFlyZ, how long do you think I should spend on CSS and HTML? As long as you need to be able to build a basic website. So you should be a designer should be able to give you a site and you should be able to build what it looks like. Maybe not all the flash of JavaScript or the navigational stuff, but you should be able to get most of the way through building pretty much any layout pretty quickly before moving on to kind of anything else more intense, I think. If your goal is to be like a front-end developer, a full-stack developer, that is. No array methods like filter or map that like iterate through the array. But if you know anything else, you can. I just said no map, so I'll leave it at no map. I'm kind of looking for folks to use one that we just used from the slides. Like a responsive website? Yes. Yep. Yeah, you want to be able to build kind of simple, responsive websites before moving on, I think. Sans, that's what I was thinking about. I think that's the way to go. Oh, Kayla on fire today. Oh, by the way. Oh, Kayla has been made mod. Joins the elite ranks with Alyssa. Ooh, we got a couple more folks done. Code Planner's done. Wolfpack of One is done. Noct is done. We got a lot of Wolfpacks in the chat. There's like 3 or 4 different people with Wolfpack in their name. It's pretty cool. Remember the Wolfpack from back in the day? Like old school wrestling. Not old school, but like wrestling back in the day. Sword Time. Yeah. Luck Monkey with the done. Noct with the done. Straight Jacket. Muhammad, Luck Monkey, Erica, nice. NWO for life. When wrestling was wrestling. Coordinate with the Dunzo. Alrighty, folks. 7 seconds left. Alrighty, come on back. Come on back. Let's take a look at this together. And then we're going to move on to objects. Really excited to get into objects tonight to do some fun stuff with them. All right. Arrays have been messing you up, but you finally got this one, Cake House. That's awesome. Done command for tracking. That'd be fun. I may or may not be working on that one. Funny commentary. I may or may not be. All right. Create a function that takes an array of numbers. So we're going to create a function. Cool. That function is going to add every even. So we're going to call this add even. And we know it's going to take in an array. So we're going to do array. And then what we're going to do is we're going to return a new array containing every even number. So I'm going to create an array called let even nums. And I'm going to set that equal to a new array. Right? It's just an array. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through the array that came in. So we're going to do another kind of setting up our loop. Let I equal 0. And there are many ways that we could loop through it, but I'm going to be kind of repetitious here. While I is less than array.length. So we're going to move through the entire array. Every single time we move through the array, we have I++, adding 1 so that we can keep moving through it. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a check. If array I, like the current number, modulus 2, right? And we're going to do mod 2 because that's how we're going to check to see if it's even, right? So if it is even, we are going to take our even nums and we're going to push the current value. There we go. So let's walk through what's happening here. Let's walk through what's happening here. I have a function, and that function is taking in an array. Okay. Then inside of my function, I set up a new array called even nums. Okay. What I want to do is I want to put every even number into that array. Okay. Into that array. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a loop. That a loop is going to go from the number 0 all the way up to the last index number of an array, just going from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I'm going to do is that every single time this runs, I'm going to check a new number from my array. So array 0 would give me the first one, then array 1 would give me the second one, array 2 would give me the third one. And each one of these numbers, I'm going to check and see if they're divisible by 2. The way I can check if they're divisible by 2 to see if they're even is just by doing modulus 2. That always gives you the remainder. So if I'm taking some number, dividing it by 2 and getting 0, I know that it's an even number, right? If the number is even, what I want to go ahead and do is take that number and push it into my array that we set up over here, right? And so this should loop through every number in the array, pushing all the even numbers into the let even nums. And then I'm going to return the new array. So I'm going to do return. There we go. So there we go. We return the even nums, which should be all of the numbers that were even inside that new array. Could we use unshift as well? Yes. So that would just put them to the front. Push is kind of the same thing that's happening here as well. So yeah, well done. Cool. Alrighty, folks. Well done. I know this was a lot of review, but I know we had a little gap between this and last class. I wanted to make sure folks had a chance to kind of catch up. As always, all of this code that we've gone through together will be posted in our Discord channel after class. So no need to type frantically if you want to come back. And you should come back. Honestly, come back, do a little bit of spaced repetition, look through the solutions, try them again, and work through them. All right. Good job, everyone. What we all came here for. All right. Objects. What are objects? So if you did some of the reading, you would have gotten a sneak peek at objects. But let's talk about what objects are. Objects are really just a collection of things that we've already learned about. They're really just a collection of variables and functions, but we call those variables and functions by a different name. When you think about an object in JavaScript, don't think about some like esoteric idea. Think of like a physical object. Think about a duck. Think about Bob. Think about something that is real, that has some attributes and behaviors about it. Okay? We can all think of objects and think about the different attributes and objects that make up that thing. Just so happens when we're talking about objects in JavaScript, those attributes we call properties, and those things that it can do, we call them methods. Okay. You might hear of an object being a stored or a keyed collection. That's something you might read about. So just want to make sure that I threw that in there as well. So I want everyone right now, if you're watching, I want you to think of some object. Ideally that there's an object that's near you. Like find an object that's near you. And I want you to think about what its attributes and behaviors are. Once I'm done stream tonight, me and one of my friends are playing DayZ. So I already have my gaming mouse out. Right? This is the G603 wireless. For when I'm playing Counter-Strike, I have my Zowie, but for tonight I'll be using this one. So here's my object. I'm going to think about the properties, the attributes and behaviors that this has. So this is color of black and gray. It has a brand of Logitech. It has a model of G603. Some of the behaviors is that it can scroll. Some of the other behaviors is that it can click, right? And so, yeah, we're going to be talking about a programming object, but I really just want you to think about regular objects and keep this idea in mind, and then we're going to apply that to the code. Okay? So I have an object that I would like us to all think about, now that you've thought about your own, and that's a stopwatch. So chat, somebody give me some of the attributes of this stopwatch. Chat, give me some attributes about this stopwatch. What does this stopwatch have or is? All right. So it has a shape attribute that is circular. I like that. It has a color attribute of black. It has a buttons property of 2. I like that. I'm going to transition the word attribute to property because when we're talking about objects in JavaScript, we call them properties. It has a minutes property, a seconds property, a milliseconds, or not milliseconds, hundredths of a second property, right? It has a covering property of glass, right? There are a lot of properties that make up this stopwatch. Well done, chat. Now, what are some of the behaviors that this stopwatch has? Like, what can this stopwatch do? What is some of its functionality? What are some of its behaviors, chat? Has a track time behavior, yeah. Has a start and a stop behavior, yeah, that's true. Has a pause behavior. Has a reset behavior, nice. Has a split behavior. So we're talking about this very physical object, and this physical object is made up of a bunch of properties that we can use to describe it and a bunch of behaviors that describe it. Okay, so I need you to think about that as we transition to writing some code. When we're talking about attributes of an object, we call them properties. And when we're talking about behaviors of an object, when it comes to JavaScript, we call them methods. Okay, so the properties are going to be like the variables that make up the object, and the methods are going to be the behaviors or the functions that make up that object. So we're going to call them properties and methods. So here's a stopwatch object. Chat, anybody remember what kind of notation this is? Is there something similar when it comes to arrays? Anybody know what kind of notation this is? Ooh, my text is toast. Nice. K-Offs, nice. Cross, nice. This is literal notation. You are literally creating an object when you use these curly braces. So people call them figure braces. It's kind of up to you, right? You are literally creating an object when you use those curly braces. As soon as you set it equal to curly braces, you have made an object. Okay. Now this stopwatch object can now have properties and methods. What you're seeing here is something called dot notation. Dot notation can be used to add properties and methods to an object. It can also be used to access the properties and methods of an object. So here, what I am doing is I have created a stopwatch object, and then I gave it a current time property and set it equal to 12. On the next line, I am creating a method called tell time. Chat, why do I call this a method? How do I know that this is a method and not another property, chat? How do I know this is a method and not just another property? Yeah, it's a function. So if you ever see a function that you're adding to an object, you're going to call that a method. Okay. So now we've added a current time property and a tell time method to this object that we created literally. Okay. Now down here, I'm going to consume it. I'm going to say stopwatch, and I'm going to call the tell time method, right? If we just look at what I circled, chat, if I just look at what I circled, what does that look like? What does that look like, chat? What did I just circle? We just talked about this earlier too. What does that look like? The thing I just circled is a what? Yeah, knocked out the park. It's a function call. But since that function is tied to an object, we're going to call it a method. But it's a function call. So we're literally telling this method to run. And so what it's going to do is it's going to take in an argument of stopwatch.currentTime. The current time is 12. So we're going to pass the number 12 into this tell time method. And what we're going to see printed to the console is the current time is 12. Remember, that's a template string. The template string enables you to take in and use a variable inside the string. So this very simple object now has a property, a method, and we called that method to tell the current time. Cool. Let's go ahead and open up the practice. Listen to your heart. We're still in the Bachelor spin-off namings here. There we go. All right. Erica said something really good in chat. Imagine having to store the first name, last name, age, and everything else for the same person in separate variables. It can get messy real quick. Now you can have a single person collecting all of those attributes. Exactly. We can have Bob and have all those attributes tied to Bob. It's a really good way to start thinking about, good way to start thinking about your objects. All right. Here is one thing that's going to ask you to do. It's going to ask you to create a object. And I want you to create this object using literal notation. Create a stopwatch object that has 4 properties and 3 methods. So I'm going to go ahead and put just a few minutes on the clock here. Let's go ahead and put 2 minutes on the clock here. Using literal notation, exactly what we just saw on the last slide. Exactly using what we saw on the last slide. Go ahead and create an object for me. A stopwatch object that has 4 properties and 3 methods. 2 minutes on the clock. If you need the starter code, it's already in chat, !Discord. Sign up to Discord, agree to the rules, you'll get access to the follow along materials channel, and you can follow along with everyone else. If you have questions while we're working, go ahead and ask questions. But we're using string, we're creating an object literally, and then we're giving it some properties and methods with dot notation. One minute, folks. This is a quick one. I think I might actually put like another minute on here if we go over this one. Running out those methods might take a little bit longer. And we're just using literal notation here. We'll get fancier with it as we move on. Ooh, diabolical with the done. Nice. 20 seconds left, and then we'll kind of come back together. Man, you know, no reason to ever feel stupid as we go through this stuff, especially if it's new. There's no way that you would know how to do some of this stuff intuitively, and so absorb it in, ask questions. Luck Monkey got it. Nice. All right, I'm going to give 30 seconds more just because I realized it was a little bit more time here for some folks. 30 seconds more, and then we'll come back together. Knocked with the done. Nice. Yeah, this is a brand new topic. I wouldn't expect anyone to kind of master this right out the gate. Nice. All right. About 5 seconds left and we'll come back together. All right, let's come back together, folks. Let's come back together. All right. Create a stopwatch object. So I'm going to go ahead, let stopwatch. Stopwatch, 1 word or 2 words? I think it's 1 word. Let me kill the music here. Come on back, folks, if you haven't come back yet. So let stopwatch equal. And then I'm going to use my curly braces for literal notation. So I have now literally created an object. Let's give it some properties. Stopwatch.color. I'm going to set it equal to black. Stopwatch. Let's do stopwatch.brand. And let's set it equal to Nike. Let's do stopwatch dot shape. Set it equal to circle. And we can do stopwatch dot. What's one other thing we say about it? I don't know. What did y'all use for your for some of your things here? Let's say lanyard equals true. So it does have a lanyard. There we go. Cool. So it does have a lanyard. Spliffgates, thank you for the sub. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. As always, all the donations, all the subs and everything go to Resilient Coders as a donation. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So here we go. We have 4 properties now: a color, a brand, a shape, and a lanyard property. And then we said we wanted 3 methods. So let's go ahead and do stopwatch dot start, and we'll set that equal to a function. And I'm just going to make it alert. Starting. There we go. Let's go ahead and do a stopwatch dot stop equals function alert stopping. And then we have one more, stopwatch dot pause, and we'll set it equal to a function, and we'll just say alert, and we'll say pausing. There we go. All right. So we've created literally an object that has 4 properties and 3 methods. I want to save this and look at it in the browser. I'm just going to open this in the browser. You can see Bachelor Listening to Your Heart is up here. I'm going to open up my console here. So I'm just going to right click inspect. I'm going to go to the console and I'm just going to ask for stopwatch. So there you go. You can see when I ask for stopwatch in the console, you can see all the properties and methods are here. All right. We can see that it has a color property of black, a brand property of Nike, a shape of circle, a lanyard of true. And if I kind of hit the expansion, you're going to see all the methods as well. Okay. Now, something also that's neat is now I can even ask for them. I can say, hey, I say stopwatch dot color, and I'll get black back. If I do stopwatch dot brand, I'll get Nike back. If I do stopwatch and I say start, now if I just do start, my head's in the way. If I just do start, I'll just get the function back. Right? Like it won't do anything. If I actually wanted to run the start method, what would I need to do? What would I kind of gave it away. I'm sorry. I gave it away. If I wanted it to run, I'm going to have to call it. And to call it, I need the parentheses. Just look at that part right there. That's calling a function, right? It just happens that that function is tied to the stopwatch object. So that's us calling the method. Okay. That's us calling the method. So if we run this, if I hit enter, boom, we see that alert that popped up saying starting. All right. So now we have this one object, this stopwatch object that has a bunch of properties tied to it and a bunch of functions or methods tied to it. So we can start to kind of organize our code into this object-like structure instead of having things all over the place. So instead of having a bunch of variables that are loose or a bunch of functions that are loose, we can have one nice contained stopwatch object that has everything that we need pertaining to that object. Okay. All right. So with literal notation, using just the setting it equal to curly braces, that only makes one object, right? But let's think about if we wanted to make a lot of objects, right? Like a lot of objects. Let's say we want to make a whole, God damn it, want to make a whole bunch of objects, right? Alyssa beat me to the words that were in my head. That's wild. All right, what do we make a whole bunch of objects, right? What are we going to do? Well, we can think about something built into JavaScript as something similar to a factory. Eventually, we want to build something that spits out objects for us. So let's say we want to build a car factory. We want something that can spit out all these different cars so that we're not sitting here writing literal notation over and over again. We're not setting the number of doors, the number of wheels, the number of seats. We're not doing car 1 dot color equals white, car 1 dot wheels equal 4, car 1 dot doors equals 4. Like, we're not going to sit here and do that over and over and over again. We want to have something that can create these objects for us so that we can have like a factory that just spits out these objects on our behalf. And in JavaScript, we have something called a constructor. And a constructor is what we're going to use to make our objects. So let's go and take a look at one. There's a lot of code here, but bear with me for a second. This is the old school constructor. There is some newer ES6 plus syntax that have changed things a little bit. Okay. Now I know there's a lot of code on the screen. Don't run away. All right. Stay with me. All right. So the goal of this function, like, let me circle it. The goal of this big old function is to spit out an object. Okay. And what we want is we want this function, this constructor function, to have the power to make these objects with all the things we care about. Okay. So here we have us calling this constructor function, but let's look at the function as itself. You can see that the function name is a little unique. How is the function name unique here? What's different about this function name from every other function name that we've seen? How is this function? Yeah, it's capitalized. Whenever you see a constructor function, they're going to be capitalized. It's important to note that this doesn't change anything in JavaScript. This doesn't give it any special powers. It doesn't do anything fancy. It's just so that you and I know that we're dealing with a constructor function. Okay. So whenever you see a capitalized function in JavaScript, you're probably getting ready to see something that's going to create objects for you. Okay. Now we're going to pass into this factory what we want. We're going to pass in what kind of make it should be, what type of model it should be, what kind of color it should be, and how many doors it's going to have. Okay. And so every single object that we make is going to have those things assigned to it. And so what we're going to see is that the objects that come out of this make car factory, each object is going to have, what am I missing? Each object is going to have a make property. I have bad words on here. Where do I have bad words? Oh. I mean, I wrote this code, so I'm like, what are you talking about? I just forgot that I put that word there. So each car that comes out of this factory is going to have a make. It's going to have a model. It's going to have a color. It's going to have doors. It's going to have two methods, honk and lock. Okay. And so what we can do is we can run this function and see what we get. So here I'm using this special keyword called new. This keyword is going to let our constructor function create an object. Okay. So Honda is going to be thrown into car make. Civic's going to be thrown into model. Silver is going to be thrown into color. And 4 is going to be returned into number of doors. So what this should spit out is an object stored in Honda Civic that has all these properties and all these methods. And we don't have to sit there and use dot notation to create them all. We don't have to sit there and do dot doors, dot make, dot model for every single object we ever create. We can use this constructor to do it for us. So let me go ahead and copy this. And I'm just going to put it inside of my console here. Hopefully this will run. All right, so if we ask for a Honda Civic now, if we look at Honda Civic, get my head out the way. All right, so I just bumped it up. Don't worry about what's behind my head. So I pasted all that code in there, all the code that's in the slide. I pasted it in, and then I asked for Honda Civic back. And if you'll notice, Honda Civic is now an object that we can see came from the make car constructor. And you can see it has all those things just already put in it for us. We can see that it has a make of Honda, a model of Civic, a color of silver, a doors of 4, and it even has those honk and lock methods. And we didn't have to do it all from scratch. We just ran that one line, right? We just ran this one line here. And this one line went ahead and made an object for us that had all those properties and all those methods, saving us a heck of a lot of time. Okay. So what we can do is we can even use it. I can do Honda Civic dot honk, and we get beep, beep, beep. We get beep, beep, beep. And if we did Honda Civic lock, we get locked 4 doors. All right. So instead of having to go line by line, adding these methods, adding these properties, we can use this lovely constructor function to make objects for us. And it's like setting up a God damn it. It's like setting up a factory. It's like setting up a factory that can spit out these objects for us. Cool. Questions while we're here? I know it's a lot. And so we're going to need a little bit of practice writing out this syntax. But the idea here is that you can set all your properties and all your methods once and then reuse this constructor function, right? You can reuse this constructor function to build out your objects. Does this only work with constructors? No, this is a really important word in JavaScript that does a lot of powerful things. In this context, this is binding the properties and the methods to the object that's coming out of the constructor. It's literally like taking the car and putting the make on it, the model on it, the color on it, the doors on it, the honk on it, the lock on it, and then spitting it out. It's doing like all the binding for us here. What if we forget to invoke the constructor function without the new keyword? Sans, you won't wind up with an object. The new keyword is kind of necessary here to get that object. Can you have optional parameters just like with regular functions? Absolutely. But the order matters here. You're going to have to put like a blank spot or something in there. Or you can use the newer ES6 default parameters. Yeah. This is a tough one. This is a really complicated topic. This is a pretty complicated topic. Hey, Hannah, cheers. Thanks for the hydrate. It's a pretty complicated topic. If you are struggling with this one, totally okay. I kind of want you to see it. I want it to start marinating in your brain. And then we're going to move on and do some really cool stuff with objects that you don't really necessarily need to know this. This is for folks that were kind of ahead of the game. They were doing the reading. I wanted to show them this in real time. Drink. Cheers to you, Hannah. The jump from toasters to cars to serious is serious. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to hold off on the prototype for right now. We'll save that for maybe office hours. There's something interesting that we would have seen throughout our time together. And we've seen this a lot. When we've seen something like toString work, right? We never wrote toString, but toString works on turning numbers into strings, right? So like if I go back to my terminal and I say, let num equal 2, and then I do num.toString, you can see that I get string 2 back, right? I get string 2 back, okay? Did I write a toString method? Did you write a toString method? How did this just work? The reason why this works is because everything in JavaScript is pretty much an object. No matter what it looks like on the surface, it's probably an object, okay? And that means if it's an object, it has properties and methods tied to it. So toString is a method tied to an object. So if you see toString working, then even though that was a number, you are probably dealing with an object. This is one of the most like mind-blowing things. Once this clicks, you start to realize, wait, everything's an object. And I've been using it the whole time. Think about our arrays. When we did dot length, what were we doing? When we had an array and we did dot length, what were we doing? We were using a property. Length was a property. And so if length was a property, dot length was dot notation, and length was a property, that made that array a what? It really was just a what? Chat. It was an object. So it's kind of objects all the way down. And so if you ever really want to master JavaScript, you're going to really have to master these objects, because not only are the objects that we create, but the whole language is built around objects, and they have all of these default sets of properties and methods. There's one really important thing in JavaScript that I know it's late. I know we've been pushing. I know it's a lot on you, but I want to talk about this one topic first, and then we'll move on. There's something in JavaScript called prototypal inheritance. And all that means is if you do not have the properties or methods that you are asking for, it's going to go up this imaginary chain to find them. So let's say I do not have a car, right? Let's say I don't have a car. My mom doesn't have a car, but my grandma has a car. Since my grandma has a car, I have a car. Even though the Leon object does not have a car, since my grandma has one, I can use that car. Okay? Same thing is going to start happening in the objects that we see in JavaScript. Sometimes we're going to ask that object, hey, do you have a length? Do you have a toString? And the answer is going to be no. Like when we look at the object itself, it's not going to have those properties or methods. But behind the scenes, it's going to go up this chain. It's going to go up this chain of parents until it's sitting at the biggest parent, the grandparent of all grandparents. And sometimes on those grandparents, there are those properties and methods we're looking for. This is a system of inheritance, being able to inherit things from other objects that's inherent in JavaScript. Okay. And so it's not something that you need to know right out the gate, but it's an idea or a concept that I want floating around in your head. This idea that when we're building objects, we're giving them properties and methods. But when we look at things like toString and length, like these properties or methods that we didn't give them, yet we're still able to use, those have to come from somewhere. And that somewhere is far up the prototype chain, which is a system of inheritance. And so don't worry about that for right now. That's an advanced concept. but it's something that once it starts to click and you start to realize, wait a minute, we've been using objects this entire time. Whenever we did something that was a method that we didn't write, we were using objects, and objects make up the whole language of JavaScript. So important concept. I'm going to give you a lot of reading on it, but I just wanted to kind of hit you over the head with that for right now, and we're gonna shelve it. We're gonna put it off to the side. Okay. All right. What I would like for y'all to do is we're gonna open up the Objects Street Fighter. Please don't sue me, Capcom. This is fair use. Please don't sue me. All right. We're gonna open up the Street Fighter starter code. For educational purposes only. I'm about to inherit this pizza. I love it. All right. Create a Street Fighter constructor that makes fighting game characters with 4 properties and 3 methods. So I want you to take a few minutes, and I want you to try using the syntax from the last slide. Go ahead and look at it. Remove that /live from the link. Go look at that syntax and build me a factory of fighting game characters. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 minutes on the clock here. And I would like for you to build me a constructor that makes fighting game characters, and we're going to go over them together. Okay. 3 minutes on the clock. Get as far as you can in those 3 minutes, and we'll go over it together. So don't be afraid to peek at the previous slide. I'll even leave it on the screen for you. There you go. Do you recommend the MDN and Eloquent.js to learn JavaScript? Yes. The MDN is hands down the best resource for the basics of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but it's a reference. It's not something like I wouldn't use that to just learn. It's when I have to look something up, I look it up on the MDN. Eloquent JavaScript is a great book that teaches you the fundamentals of programming, and just so happens to use JavaScript. It can be a little heavy for folks that are brand new to the language. So I would actually recommend something like the JS Way, maybe first, looking things up on the MDN, and then maybe tackling Eloquent JavaScript, because Eloquent JavaScript can be a doozy if this is your first foray into web development or any programming at all. Although I love the book. It's one of my favorite JavaScript books. All right. Go to make me a constructor that's fighting game characters. If you're new and you need the starter code, go ahead and do !Discord in our chat. That'll give you access to our Discord community once you agree to the rules. All right. Once you agree to the rules, you'll be able to go ahead and download the materials from the Follow On Materials channel. About a minute and 20 seconds left. I forgot the tunage for y'all. Give you a little bit of tunes here. What do you think of the Pragmatic Programmer book? I just got the anniversary edition. It was on my desk yesterday. I moved it somewhere, but yeah, I was literally on my desk yesterday. I think it's a great book. It's definitely a more advanced book. It's nothing I would. It's not something I recommend to a beginner. If a beginner wanted to read through Pragmatic Programmer, I would tell them maybe just look up like the cliff notes, like the highlights of it. I think once you're a little bit further along in your career, it could be a great book. Difference between JavaScript, TypeScript, and Babel. JavaScript is kind of like the base language. TypeScript gives you some extra goodies like typing, which you might have seen in some other language. Babel, I believe, is the technical term, is a transpiler. It takes your newer JavaScript and makes it work with browsers that need the older version of JavaScript. Yeah, so it's a transpiler. All right, folks, just a few seconds left, and we're going to come back together and work through this. All right. No matter where you got, that was okay. Oh, we got some buzzer beater duns. That's awesome. Okay, they got done. Nice. Nick with the dun. Diabolic with the dun. Accordionette. All right. Come on back, folks. Let's go over this together. All right. So let's go ahead and make a constructor of fighting game characters. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my code. Oh, we got a bunch of other folks right at the buzzer. Nice. Erica, Noct, Sands, and Wolfpack, and K-Cost with the done. That's awesome. Luck Monkey 2, Mayan 2. Oh, gang's all here, huh? Karma, nice. All right. Let's make a fighting game constructor. So we're going to do function. I'm going to call it fighters just to make the fighting game players mad. And we're going to pass in some things here. We're going to pass in, I'm going to do like high. Well, let's do like punch, kick, special move. And let's do punch, kick. What's another one? We can do like defense. All right. I don't know. Make something up. All right. So we have punch, kick, defense, and special move. All right. Ooh, I like taunt. Taunt is better. There we go. Taunt and special move. All right. So let's go ahead and set our properties. So this dot punch equals punch, right? And this is how you're going to normally see it. You're going to see normally the parameters and the properties are the same. And so this dot kick equals kick. This dot taunt equals taunt. And this dot special move equals special move. Cool. And then we wanted 3 methods. So I'm going to do this dot talk trash. And I'm going to set it equal to a function. And that function is going to alert. And we're just going to say, like, I know taunt is like a physical thing, but we're going to say like, hey, you, and then we're just going to throw in the taunt. There we go. All right. Hey, you taunt. We're going to do this dot use move, and we're going to set it equal to a function, and we're going to alert. You can't handle my, and then we're just going to plug in special move. But remember, if we want it to be the move that's tied to this object, we need the this keyword. So we're going to need this dot special move, and we're going to need this dot taunt. Nice. One more method. Let's do a power level check. And we're going to set it equal to a function. And it's just going to alert over 9,000. Cool. All right. So we set up a fighting game character constructor. So what it'll do is it will take in a punch that'll be tied to this dot punch. So it'll have a punch property. It's going to take in a kick, which will be tied to the kick property. Taunt will be tied to the taunt property, and special move, which will be tied to the special move property. We have 3 methods. One that says, hey, you, and then the taunt. One that says you can't handle, and then your special move, and then a power level, which of course is over 9,000. Cool. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and create our first object from the fighters constructor. And so let's do Ryu. Let Ryu equal. What's the magic keyword I need, chat, to make the object from the constructor? What's the magic keyword? New. Nice. Well done, Noct. new, we're going to say fighters. All right. And we're going to pass in low, high for the punch and the kick, taunt, booger, and special move, Hadouken. I don't know how to spell Hadouken, but I'm gonna. I think it's like Hadouken. Hadouken. There we go. So that was the low kick. Sorry, low punch, high kick, booger, taunt, and Hadouken as the special move. So let's go ahead and save this, and then let's open this this bad boy in the browser. Opening it in the browser, we can still see the Bring It On Worldwide Cheer Smack is still there. I didn't change that. Let's go ahead to the inspector. Let's check out our console, and let's ask for Ryu. See what we get back. We can see that Ryu is an object made from the fighter's constructor, right? You can see that it has a punch property of low, a kick property of high, a taunt of booger, and a special move of Hadouken. So let's go ahead and actually use it. So let's go ahead and do Ryu. And let's do Talk Trash. You can see, hey, you booger, because its taunt was booger. And then what was the name of the method? What do we call it for the use move was the name of the method. So we can do Ryu dot use move. There we go. And you can't handle my Hadouken. Right. Blah's like, Leon's having too much fun. Hydrate. Thank you, Blah. I appreciate that. Cheers to you. All right. And let's also check the power level real quick. We're going to need a quick reading here. If I had like the visor thingy. Ryu dot, what was it? Power level? Yeah, power level. There we go. And over 9,000. So we're good. All right. So we saw that we created a object called Ryu from our constructor. It had a bunch of properties: punch, kick, taunt, special move. It had 3 methods: talk trash, use move, and power level. Code all with the posture check. Thank you. Hold on. There we go. Nice. Yusuf, if you come to office hours on Saturday, I'll walk through more of the prototype stuff. I don't want to lose people right now going too deep into it. Cool. Let's go back to the code. There you go, K-Doge. While you're looking at the code, I'm going to do one more. Let's do one more character. Let Chun-Li equal new fighters. And we're going to do high punch, definitely high kick, taunt. Y'all about to catch these feet. And then special move is spinny kick thing. There you go. That's official right there. It's the spinny kick thing. Anybody know what that's really called? It's called a helicopter kick. Is that what it's called? Is that like really Chun-Li's special move, helicopter kick? I believe it. Spinning bird kick. Nice. I'll send Street Fighter a message to get them to change it to spinning kick thing. It's all right. Alrighty. So now we have a second player, Ryu Chun-Li. All right, let's save it. And let's go back to our browser. I'm just going to clear it so we can see it. So we can see that Ryu is there. But now we should also have Chun-Li as well. Oh, did I not save it? Let me make sure I saved it. Saved it. Cool. Make sure I refreshed. There we go. So now we have Chun-Li as well. And so that Chun-Li has, let's ask for it. So let's do like Chun-Li dot punch. We get high, and we do chunli.useMove, call the method. You can't handle my spinny kick thing. There you go. Nice. All right. So now we got, what up, Incognito? Welcome. Now we have two characters, Ryu and Chun-Li. But something disastrous happened. Street Fighter, when they released Street Fighter 6, whatever the next one's going to be, they have a create your own character. And we've been the developers building, like, as you can see clearly, we've been building all the code that Street Fighter is going to use. And we made a big mistake. None of our characters can jump. And the really big mistake was that we added a character creation option to Street Fighter 6, where you can create your own character with all of its own properties, punch, kicks, taunts, special moves, all that fun stuff. And so now millions of people around the world have taken this new thing and built their fighters, but none of them can jump. And so what we could do is we could take a couple months off and get to coding and do this. Ryu.jump equals true. Then Chun-Li.jump equals true. And then Bob.jump equals true. And then the millions of other characters that were created, we can manually go through and add the jump equals true to each one. But there's something that unifies all of the characters that we've made. What unifies all the characters that we have made? All the characters we make are all going to share something. Ooh, Kakoff's got it off the jump. They all come from the same factory. They all come from the same constructor. So all these characters come from the fighter's constructor. And remember how I said there's like these default or backup properties and methods? Well, we can use that to our advantage. And I'm going to show you how. I'm going to come down here and do fighters.prototype. Whoop. I didn't want that autocomplete. Prototype.jump equals true. Okay. So now Ryu is going to ask itself. Ryu is going to say, hey, do I have the ability to jump? And Ryu is going to say, no. It's going to look. I have a punch property, a kick property, a taunt, a special move, talk trash, use move, and power level. I do not have jump. But I can go ask my creator, my constructor, and say, hey, constructor object, do you have the ability to jump? And the constructor is going to say, yep, I have the ability to jump. And so Ryu inherits it. Just like if Ryu's mama had the ability to jump, Ryu now has the ability to jump. Chun-Li is going to do the same thing. Chun-Li is going to say, hey, do I have the ability to jump? And the answer is going to be no. But it can go up a level to the constructor and say, hey, constructor, do you now have this ability to jump? Right? And Chun-Li is going to be like, yeah, that has it. So I have it too. And so we can see this in the browser. So let me save this real quick. Let me go back and refresh. Let's look at Ryu real quick. Has a punch, a kick, a taunt, a special move. Oop, I gotta hit enter. But there is no jump. We can see there's no jump. Let me move my big head out the way. There's no jump. Right? There's no jump here. But if I do this, I get true. Ryu did not have jump, but when I do Ryu.jump, I get true back. Because what happened is Ryu checked itself, didn't have it, went up to its parent. The parent had it, so now Ryu has it. Now let's look at something really interesting. What? So we know that jump was a Boolean, a true or false value, right? It was a true or false value. But we just used toString to make it a string. Did Ryu have the toString method? No. It had the special move, talk trash, and power level. Those are the only methods it had. Yet I was able to use toString. That's because somewhere up that prototype chain, like through those parents of parents, one of the parents has a toString method on it. And we're able to inherit that all the way down. Ryu asked itself, did not have it. Check the constructor. Constructor didn't have it. It went all the way up to something called the global object prototype and inherited from that. This is kind of how JavaScript came together as a language. A lot of the stuff that we need access to that makes writing JavaScript easier, like things like the toString method, the way they work is through this idea of prototypal inheritance, where objects check themselves, they don't find it, and they go up their inheritance chain to find it. Okay, so I know that's a lot. I know it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around it, but I wanted to let it get in there and let it start marinating. And I hope through you like creating a constructor and seeing that, hey, Ryu doesn't have any of those values, doesn't have any of those properties, but it's able to get it from somewhere else. That's going to start to get some wheels moving, some things are clicking. Okay. And so that's the beauty of how JavaScript works, is that it's this thing called prototypal inheritance, where everything's an object and everything have properties and methods tied to it. And if they don't have it, they can go up this chain to find it. That's all you need to know. That's what we're going to stop there. I'm not going to bake your brain anymore, but I wanted that concept of the idea to be visual here and to let it start marinating. Count the shells says it's a pyramid scheme. All right. Go back to the slides, folks. So we just did the Street Fighter object. There is a newer syntax. Look, Ma, new syntax. Okay. With ES6, we got a new syntax for our constructors. And it brought it closer to some other languages you might have seen. We got classes. And some people like to call this syntactical sugar. It's slightly a little bit more than syntactical sugar. But underneath the hood, there's still prototypal inheritance coming along. So it just makes it a little bit cleaner and brings it a little bit closer to some other languages you might have seen. The same thing's happening, though. We still have a constructor function, and we still have our methods, right? It's just in a cleaner class syntax. And you can think of classes as just like templates for objects. That's kind of it. We'll have a class on inheritance and object-oriented programming, and we'll see how all these things come together to build out the language in a usable way. But I just wanted to show you this quickly so that you can see that there is a newer way of doing it that for a lot of people find it to be cleaner and easier to use. Cool. We're going to keep moving. All right. I want to have some fun with these objects, right? But before we have some fun, let's take a 3-minute break. Okay. So I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock. I want you to stretch. I want you to hydrate. I want you to take care of yourself. We're in this for the long haul. 3 minutes. Go take a break. Ooh, Bugaboo with the hydrate. Thank you. Cheers to you, Bugaboo. Thank you for the hydrate. I love that. My Texas toast. Yo, dog, I heard you like classes about classes, so we're doing a class about classes. That's definitely going in the slides. I'll give you attribution. TFO Phillips with the posture check. Thank you. Okay. There we go. Nice. Feet. Good. Incognito said, do you do any backend stuff? Every day I do backend stuff. Yeah, and we'll be doing our full stack class starts October 20th, and we'll be definitely going deep into the backend. Alyssa, you made the meme. That's awesome. Thank you. Luck Monkey said, I'm never doing the hydrate again. I'm saving for the OnlyFans. Needs more exhibit pictures. Nice. Alrighty, folks. Go away from the computer. Come back. Go away from the computer, but come back in a minute, 35 seconds. I want you to get a stretch in, grab some water, hydrate, rest your hands. Shake them out, folks. Shake them out. Do what Dr. Levi, the fitness doctor, tells us to do. Incognito will be using Node on the back end. Their full stack course is all about getting folks the skills they need to be employable the fastest. And full stack JavaScript is one of those ways to get employable the fastest. Ski said, what do you like more, Axios or Fetch? I use Axios more now because I like it to be able to work across the stack. But we're going to cover Fetch tonight. And then later on, we'll cover things like async await. Yeah. So tonight we'll use Fetch just because I think it's cleaner to read and you don't have to like do anything extra. But yeah, I use Axios all the time. All right, folks, 30 seconds left. Please grab some water, stretch, do what you got to do. Stop trying to make Fetch happen, Ninja. Yeah, I do like Node Fetch. Yeah, I've used it a bit. Ninja with the hydrate. All right, thank you. Cheers to you, Ninja. I'm gonna have to pee. Jesus. Thank you. Alrighty, folks, come back. Come back. Come on back. Let's go over APIs. Let's have some fun with our objects. We learned about objects. Ninja said, my man complained about not enough hydration and then too much. You can't win. I'm sorry, Ninja. I appreciate you. Oh, anonymous gifter with the 5 subs. I didn't even know you could sub anonymously. Whoever you are, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Ski, Eugen Fox, Difficult News, Kintozu, Ayo Quevedo are now all subbed. Thank you, anonymous gifter. That's pretty cool. That's awesome. That's really neat. I didn't know you could do that. Thank you. I really appreciate it. You all now have access to those micro Leon emotes, so have fun. Use them well. As always, all the subs and everything, they go to a nonprofit called Resilient Coders. So I appreciate you all donating and cheering and all that fun stuff. It goes to them. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to APIs. I'm going to kill the music here. We're going to have some fun. That's not the real Michael Reeves, is it? If Michael Reeves is watching, I just lost it. Thank you for stopping by. That's awesome. I watch all your videos. I tried making the drone that attacked me. I tried making a drone that would attack my students. I got pretty close. Big inspiration. All right. What are APIs, chat? So we've spent all this time talking about objects. Let's have some fun with those objects. And so we're going to do 3 things that are going to be really fun. Oh shit, it really is. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get shy now. Welcome to the chat, man. That's awesome. Cool. So we talked about objects. Let's actually have some fun with the objects, right? Now, APIs can be like this really complex thing that people kind of get bogged down and into the weeds with. But I just want you to think of an API as a simple interface for something complex, right? So if we have like a remote control, now I have my disco lights in the back. I know some of you all have seen the disco lights, right? Here's my remote control for my disco lights. I can click that on button and my lights will come on. But think about everything that has to happen for those lights to come on, right? All the electrical things that have to happen from when I press that, the IR signal goes to the lights turn on, like everything that has to happen. Think about all that has to happen. I tap a very simple interface and something complex happens, right? APIs can be used as a simple interface for something complex, but it also allows one thing to communicate with another. And the big thing here is that you can communicate with something else without having to know how those things are implemented, right? I like to think of a restaurant menu, right? You can look at the menu and you can pick your pizza and you can tell the waiter or waitress, hey, I want the pizza. You don't really know how that pizza is going to be made, right? You don't know what oven they're going to put it in. You don't know the exact ingredients they're going to make. You just know that you're going to get a delicious pizza at the end, right? So you can think of that menu as an API. It's a simple interface. You're just holding that piece of paper. It's a simple interface that gives you something complex, a delicious pizza at the end of the day, right? And so it kind of obfuscates. It takes away the complexity for you. You point to the pizza and you get something delicious to eat. Okay? And so when we're building out or consuming these APIs, we're going to use them, right? We're going to use them to get a lot of data back, a lot of objects back. And we don't really care about how those objects are retrieved. We don't care about how those objects are brought to us. We just know we do something and we get all this wonderful data back. Okay? So that's where we're going to start with APIs, right? Simple interface for something complex. It's going to enable us to communicate and not really care about how things are happening behind the scenes. We just know we're going to get some cool stuff. Okay? So we are going to get some dog photos back. We're going to get some drink recipes back. And we're going to get a few photos back from NASA. Okay? And we're going to build those things tonight. So let's go ahead and start using some APIs to get that data back. Now, when we are writing our code, our app is going to make a request to some service out there on the internet, and we're going to get some data back. Okay? So the first API we're going to use, we're going to make a request to that service, and they're going to send us a cute dog photo back. Okay? Now, the way that data is going to come back to us is via something called JSON, or JavaScript object notation. When that data comes back to our application, it's going to look like a JavaScript object that we just learned about, right? So the objects that we just learned about, we're going to now use them to get data back. And once we have that object, we can use it to do whatever we want to do with it. Okay. Now, there are a couple ways to make these API requests with JavaScript. We can use some older things, some newer things, but one of the cleanest ways to kind of make these requests is with fetch. Now, there are many other ways. We were talking a little bit earlier about Axios and some other fun stuff. But I think fetch is pretty clean. It's a great place to start. And you might dig and do some reading to find some other ways to make these requests. So what I am going to do is I'm going to run this code. And I want to see what we get back. Okay. So inside of our starter code for today, there is the dog photo starter code. Let's move to that dog photo starter code and see what we got going on. This is going to enable us to kind of look at the code a little bit cleaner here. So go ahead, open up dog photos, main.js. All right. I want to get a photo of a dog from the dog CO API and place the photo in the DOM. I'm going to go back to the slides actually and grab the code from here. All right, so here's my code. And the way that this is going to work is with fetch, I can put in a URL. And if I make a request to that URL, it's going to send me back those objects, that JSON formatted object. Okay. So when I make a request to this URL, it's going to send me some data back, right? It's going to send me that JSON object back. And then I can look at that object and pull out the pieces that I want. All right. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in the browser. And you can see we have a nice object waiting for us here. And so what happened is when I opened this up, that fetch made a request to that URL. A server out there on the internet heard that request and responded with this object. Okay. And then all I did was console log that object. Right? I console log that object, and that's why I can see that object inside of my console log. And the cool thing is I can see that there's a message here, and this message contains a URL to an image. So let me see if I can go ahead and grab the message property of this object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do data.message. And I'm going to console log that. So instead of console logging the whole object, I'm going to console log a property of that object because we made a request to this URL. We said, hey, expect and parse out the JSON. And then everything that came back from that request is falling into this parameter called data. So wherever I see data, it's whatever I got back from the API. Whatever I got back from the API is now in data, right? So if I go ahead now and I go back to the browser and I go ahead and give it a good old refresh, now we're cooking because now we're not getting that whole object. We're getting that very specific message property that was on the object, right? Just like our Street Fighter object had a kick and a punch and a special move. Well, the object we got back from this API had a message property that is a image URL. So let's go ahead and use that to our advantage. Instead of console logging it, what we're going to see is that inside of my index.html is this blank old image. There's no bring it on movie placeholder. There was, but I got rid of it because I thought it might be a little confusing. There's no bachelor placeholder. I got rid of it because I thought it might be confusing. But what I want to do is I want to change the source of this image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do document.query selector. And I'm going to select the image. And I'm going to say, you know what? Let's change the source to be equal to that image source we got back from the API. Okay. So if I go ahead and save this and I go back to the browser and I refresh, we get a cute, lovely dog photo. Right? We get a cute, lovely dog photo in our browser. And if I refresh, we keep getting cute different photos. Cool. Is my Streamlabs bugging out? Y'all still with me? All right, there we go. Serotonin machine activated. I love it. All right. Now, the cool thing is we can look at this dog API and the URL that we're using, right? This URL that I'm using, what it does is it sends me back a random photo each time. But you can actually go through their documentation and find a bunch of different URLs that you can request. So here's one that gives you the random that we're using, by breed list. So there's a bunch of different stuff that you can use to get back specific photos if you want it. But all we're doing here is we're saying, all right, this is the URL. We made a request to it. And whenever you make a request to it, it responds with a JSON object that you can parse through and get all the goodies that you want out of. Okay. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. All right, so we coded some dog photos together. There is another API that I would like for y'all to check out, and that is the Cocktail Database API. And so if you look at the Cocktail Database API, they have a bunch of different URLs that you can use, a bunch of different things that you can request from, right? And so here are a bunch of different, we call them endpoints that you could hit. So you can ask for a cocktail by name, a cocktail by letter. You can search for ingredients. And these are all different URLs that if you request stuff from them, they send you stuff back. Right? So the cool thing here is that we can use this first URL and get cocktails by a specific name. Okay? And so if we go ahead and open up the next bit of code, let's go back to our starter code here. I'm going to close the dog photos one. I'm going to open up here the shots. I'm going to do shots. We're going to go ahead and open up the everybody shots code. And what I want you all to do is I want you to enter a cocktail and get that cocktail back from the API. So you're going to use the endpoint that's in the slides. Right? So here's the endpoint. You can see on the end is margarita. What I want you to try doing is replacing margarita with something that the user gave you. So what you could do is you can try it first by hard coding a value, but there is an input here. So it would be cool if you could grab the value out of the input and use that as part of the URL that's going to make the request. Okay. And so we're going to use the same kind of code that we just used for the dog photos. The only difference here is instead of hard coding margarita, we want to see if we can switch it up and plug in something that the user gave us so we can generate unique drinks back from that API. Okay. So you're going to try following the code that we just did and the code that's in the slides. You're going to request a cocktail. You're going to request a cocktail and it's going to send you back a really big JSON object. The first thing you probably want to do is just console log it so you can see it, right? Console log it so you can see it. And then you want to dig into it, okay? And see if you can get the specific pieces out that you want. Now, I will tell you that it's going to return an array of objects. So if you want the first object, it's going to be a little tricky, okay? I'm going to give you just 3 minutes to get started, just to kind of wrap your head around the problem. And then we're going to go over it together. And then that's kind of where we're going to end it for the day, okay? So take about 3 minutes to start wrapping your head around this problem, take a stab at it, and then we're going to go over it together. And then we're going to assign one more for homework, and we'll call it for today because we're hitting that 3-hour mark. So I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock. I'm going to put some music on for you. And go ahead and use the URL that's in the slides. If you're new and you want the slides, it's ! slides. If you want the following code, like the starter code that we're using here, do ! Discord, and you can get access to our Discord channel where you'll be able to use the follow along channel to get all the materials for today. Man, was that really Michael Reeves? I'll lose my shit. Alrighty, folks. Have at it. About 2 minutes left. I don't think you're going to get through it, but I just want you to wrap your hand around it, and then we're going to go over it together. Just to kind of see if you can get some text going, and we'll go over it together. Alrighty. About 1:30 left. Yeah, I watch all of his videos. I've tried building quite a few things that he's built. It's quite fun. Very humorous. Oh no, the music didn't start. There we go. Yeah, no, he's a really cool dude. Big fan. Alrighty, folks. It's alright. It's alright if you lost K-Cost. It's cool. We're going to go over this together. We're going to dig through it. The first time you're seeing this is pretty hard. About 35 seconds left, and we'll go over it together. All right. Just want to have some fun with the objects that we learned, and then we'll kind of move on from there. You can use dot notation to access it, so you don't have to kind of go too wild to get access to everything. Alrighty. Come on back, folks. I know this is a hard one. Come on back. Let's go over it together. Let's take a peek. And this is the last thing I'll do to break your minds tonight. Alrighty. So, let's go ahead and grab the code that we used from the dogs photos API. Well, the similar code here. And so whenever I want to make a request to an API, this is what I'm going to use. This fetch right here. All right. And here's the URL that they gave me from the API's website, the Cocktail database. It's just this URL right here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And I'm going to plop it here into the URL. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to console log this and see if it works. Let's open up in the console. All right, so it looked like it worked. We got an object back from the drinks API. And if we look, you can see that it sends us back an array of objects. And each one of these objects is one of the drinks. So pretty straightforward, just using the fetch, right? Nothing more than that, just threw the URL in there, made a request to that URL, and that server sent us back some data that we're console logging. If we noticed, there was a drinks array, right? And so let's go ahead and try doing drinks square bracket 0. That'll give us the first object in this array. Cool. Let's save it and see what we got. All right, there we go. So we saw that we got an array of drinks back, right? We got an array of drinks back. And when I did square bracket 0, I got a specific drink. So there was like 6 of them. I just grabbed the first one. And you can see that there are a bunch of things on there. There is a name, like let's open it up a little bit. There is the name of the drink. There is a thumbnail that has like an image in it. And there are definitely instructions in here, right? And so there's everything we just got back from this cocktail database. And so what I want to do is, instead of just getting the data and console logging it, I got some things I got going on here in the DOM. I have a place to put the name. I have a place to put the image, and I have a place to put the instructions. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do document.querySelector. And we're going to go ahead and just select the H2. And we're going to put inside of it data.drinks, and I believe it was str drink was the name of it, right? Let's save this and see if it works. Let's go back. Let's refresh. All right, there we go. We got Margarita going on inside. There, we got Margarita inside the DOM here. Let's go back and use it again. So we can do this again. I'm just going to copy and paste this line. Like I said, don't really copy and paste them, but we're over the 3 hours and I don't want to keep folks too much longer. I'm going to select the image and I'm going to do the source. And I think it was, I actually forget what it was. Let's go ahead and console log again the data. I forget what the thumbnails dot notation was. So let's go ahead and save this, go back. Let's refresh. In the inspector, we console logged that object. So if we look, it was called Drink Thumb is the name that we want. Drink Thumb. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. I did sec and not source. Thank you. And so Drink Thumb. Cool. Let's save this. And then I believe the last one was drink instructions. So that H3 is going to have inside of it drink instructions. Let's actually go back and double check that. Oh, it's just instructions, no drink. See that in there? No drink, just instructions. Cool. So let's save this. Let's go back to the browser and refresh. All right. So we got Margarita, a massive image, and then the instructions down here. Cool. Let's write some CSS real quick just to make sure this image isn't massive. Let's just go ahead and do width. We'll just make it 300 pixels. Cool. There we go. So now we're returning Margarita, right? We got the name of the drink, we got the picture of the drink, and we got the instructions that all came back from that API. Pretty cool. I could go for a margarita right now. Me too, brother. Me too. And then let's go ahead and take a peek though. We have this input here. And I would rather being able to get this value out of the input and use that as the drink instead of it always being a margarita. If we look, this will always be hard-coded as margarita, although we could change it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a click event. I'm going to do a document.querySelector, and we're going to select the button, and we're going to do an add event listener. Cool. It's going to be a click. And when we hear a click, we're going to fire a function that has this this fetch in it. Cool. So the same kind of event listener that we've been seeing since day one. Just going to throw it in here. And the first thing I'm going to do, though, when I hear the click, is I'm going to get the value out of the input. So I'm going to say let drink. I'll probably even do const here. Let drink equal, and then we're going to set it equal to document.querySelector. And we're going to select the input, and we're going to get the value out of it. My Texas Toast said drank. All right, I'm going to go with that. I like that better. Drank. Got my drink going on. All right. So now when we click on that button, we're going to pull the value out of the input. And then the cool thing is, instead of hard coding margarita here, let's go ahead and plug in, using a template literal, whatever the user entered. So let's go ahead and do our template literal and put in drank. All right. Let's see if it works. I'm going to refresh the page. Whiskey. First try. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Get you some. All right. So the user puts in whiskey. When they click get cocktail, it makes a request to the cocktail database. The cocktail database sends back a massive JSON object. That JSON object had the name of the drink, the picture of the drink, and the instructions on how to make the drink. And we plugged all that into the DOM. Now we're really having fun with objects, folks. Cool. Go back to the code real quick just to walk through it. So here we have our click event. So whenever we click on the button, it runs all this code. The first thing we do is we get the value out of the input, stored in drank. And then we go ahead and make our fetch to the cocktail database. We use the URL that they gave us, but instead of hard coding margarita, the user can now enter in whatever drink they want to drink, whatever drink they want to drink. There we go. And then it goes and gets that data from the API. The API sends us that big JSON object back, and we parse through it, grabbing the first drink's name, the first drink's picture, and the first drink's set of instructions. All right. Here we go. So that's a quick way of kind of walking through how you can have some fun with objects. There is a third challenge here. And the thing here is to remember is that, like, at first I never had this memorized, right? I didn't have like the then and the fetch and everything memorized. I would just copy and paste it. And so don't put it on yourself to have all this stuff memorized right now. You can always just copy and paste and use it for any API that you're going to use it for. So you're going to go to an API. They're going to give you a URL. You pop that URL into the fetch and you're cooking, right? That's it. There's no other magic here. So it's going to make it really easy for you to like use this later on. The hard part is looking at the data that's coming back and getting what you want. So that's what you have to practice on. I'm going to ask you all to practice with the dog CEO API. I'm going to ask you all to practice with the cocktail database API. And then I'm going to have a third one that I want you to work on your own. And we're going to go over it during office hours. Office hours are this Saturday from 12 p.m. Eastern time to 3 p.m. Eastern time. Hope to see you there. If the template literal for you Luck Monkey hasn't been working, make sure you're using ticks and not quotes. This right here is a tick, which is on the same key as your tilde key. It's not a quote, not like a single quote. If you don't use the ticks, you're not going to be able to use the template literal. What is the response format before we compare it to JSON? You're just parsing the response as JSON. It can come back as plain text, things like that. Alrighty, folks. What a stream. Oh, we had the legendary Michael Reeves pop by, give a follow in the chat. Oh, what a stream. I know this was a lot. This is a bonus class. We pushed. We went a little bit hard. We reviewed our functions, our variables, our loops, our conditionals. We pushed forward with arrays. We pushed forward with objects. We learned about APIs. And now I hope that you can use this for good and to do some fun stuff with it. The homework I'm going to ask you to work on, and we'll go over it Saturday on office hours, is I want you to go ahead and get the picture of the day from NASA. So you're going to have to look up the NASA API. You're going to have to find the picture of the day API. You're going to have to sign up for it. You're going to have to get it working. Okay, so that's your homework between now and if you're going to stop by office hours. Remember, we're off next week because I got a lot of prep to do for 100 devs. And I would love to end it with a little bit of a raid. So appreciate you all stopping by, giving me your brains at the end of a hard day. Let's go ahead and end with some positivity. Let's send somebody some love. Let's do a raid. I'm going to find somebody here. All right. Think I found someone. I'm going to do the raid. Remember, if you participate in the raid, you get more channel points. Oh, I got a hydrate. Thank you. Thank you, Wolfgang. All right. We're going to do a raid. See you all over there. Have a great night. Thank you for hanging out. See you all on Saturday. And I'm going to end with my drink. See you over there, everybody. Bye, everybody.